Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. The villain starts from dual cultivation with the protagonist master. Chapter 21. I was just practicing, it's not pill pattern, still a long way to go. The kind of deeply textured pills sold in the system store are the pill pattern. Liu Keano casually picked up a medicine bottle, filled it with the remaining condensing yuan pills in the alchemy furnace, and threw it into the corner. Su Lianlian only noticed that there were more than a dozen pill bottles scattered in the corner of the room. She walked towards the corner and bent down to pick up a bottle and opened it. The incredibly rich fragrance of the pill instantly filled the room. She poured out a few pills from the bottle. Inside were pills known to everyone in the cultivation world, the origin returning pill. Looking closely at the pills, Su Lianlian was shocked and speechless. In the cultivation world, there is a consensus that as long as a pill has a pill halo, even if it is the lowest level pill, the alchemist can be called a master and admired by the world. The so-called pill pattern is the mark left on the pill when the medicinal effects of the spiritual herbs are maximized during the refining process. Every pill with a pill pattern is born with the blessings of heaven. And the pills in her hand are all supreme grade pills with a faint pill pattern. Although it is not easy to notice without careful observation, the presence of a pill pattern is a fact. Su Lianlian opened a few more bottles, and all of them contained pills with a pill pattern. These are all the ones you practiced with. Su Lianlian's voice trembled with excitement. Yeah, they were just for practice. These are all considered defective. Liu Keano scratched his head. Liu Keano's knowledge of pills comes from the Complete Guide to Pills, given by the system, which states that only pills with deep pill halos can be considered good pills, which is only considered passing. Not understanding the common knowledge of pills in the cultivation world, Liu Keano thought that Su Lianlian was making fun of his inadequate alchemy skills. Pills with a pill pattern are considered defective. Liu Keano, did you hit your head when you were sparring with Lin Qingshe? These pills can even be sold for thousands of spirit stones at an auction. Although these pills are the most basic spirit pills, their quality is high. Ordinary origin returning pills are worth 80 spirit stones in the market, while origin returning pills with a pill pattern are priced at dozens of times that. The cultivation world is extremely dangerous, and every cultivator is bound to fight and get injured. Basic pills like the condensing yuan pill can provide immediate treatment to cultivators. The quality of pills varies, and the time it takes for the medicinal properties to take effect also varies. It takes about 10 minutes for an ordinary origin returning pill to take effect after a cultivator swallows it, while higher quality pills require less time. Do not underestimate this time. For cultivators in battle, these few minutes could cost them their lives. Are they worth that much? Liu Keano didn't expect the pills he casually refined to be so valuable. Although the sect master gave him a considerable amount of spirit stones, Liu Keano felt that it would be better to have some private money in his hands, especially since he still lacked 3 rare spiritual herbs to refine the advanced gold core pill. Wait a moment, those items in the system store shouldn't be sold at sky-high prices. The price of a basic pill in the store is 10 points. Liu Keano can earn over 100 points from Luo Li in a day. If we calculate conservatively, the points earned in a day can be exchanged for 10 pills. According to Su Lianlian, if one pill can be sold for 1,000 spirit stones, then it would be 10,000 spirit stones in a day. 10,000 spirit stones. It can support a cultivator from being immortal to the gold core stage. Liu Keano started to get excited when he thought about this. He began to consider whether he could corrupt Luo Li, the protagonist, with money, making her indulge in luxury and lose interest in cultivation. His current strength is still difficult to protect himself. Although he has 2 gold talismans bestowed by the ancestor, if a powerful being were to find him, he would probably not be able to escape death. It's better to hide the fact that he can refine pills, in case he attracts the attention of people who need pills or spirit stones. How to sell the pills in his hand without letting others discover that Liu Keano is the one who refined them has become his current concern. High-quality pills must be valuable. You don't know the demand for high-quality spirit pills in the market, Su Lianlian said, thinking about Liu Keano's background as a member of the Liu family, a cultivation family. No wonder he would think that pills of this quality are defective. He must have been taking higher quality spirit pills since he was young. Thinking about her lack of background in the demonic sect and her insufficient strength, she could only come to the Immortal Gate undercover to seek a glimmer of hope, only to be caught and humiliated by this rogue. Thinking about this, Su Lianlian couldn't help but feel a little sad. When she was in the demonic sect, she was not like she is now. Even in the most dangerous and difficult situations, as long as it was for her own sake, she wouldn't even bat an eye. Since swallowing the love Gu and having her first kiss taken by Liu Chuan, she couldn't control her emotions in front of him. Hearing Su Lianlian's voice, Liu Chuan thought that she was a good candidate. She has the love Gu in her body, so she has to meet with him every once in a while. If something were to happen to him, the love Gu would make her die with him. They can be considered as having a shared destiny, and she definitely wouldn't betray him. Liu Chuan said with an emotional tone, Lianlian, it's not easy for you to be undercover at the Immortal Gate. Leaving your hometown and being unfamiliar with the place, you must have suffered a lot. Upon hearing Liu Chuan's words, Su Lianlian unexpectedly felt a sense of comfort. To cover up her shyness, she interrupted Liu Chuan. HMPH, you scoundrel. Who asked you to worry about me? Just say what you want to say. In that case, I'll be direct. Do you have a way to sell the pills I refine? Su Lianlian nodded. During the years she spent undercover at the Immortal Gate, the demonic sect sent many disciples to the surrounding towns, including some who infiltrated the merchant guilds. You're trying to please me just to use me to sell pills. You know, you don't have to please me, Su Lianlian said, wanting to hear a definite answer from Liu Chuan. She wanted to hear Liu Chuan say with his own mouth that he was being nice to her only to use her, that they were just using each other. Su Lianlian's voice was cold and trembling, completely different from her previous seductive self. But Liu Chuan knew that this was her true nature. She grew up in the cruel environment of the demonic sect and never felt warmth and kindness. In the words of her past life, she was a child lacking love. In the original work, the person who cared for her was Luo Li. She was moved by Luo Li's righteousness and gentleness, and the ice in her heart gradually melted. She denied her feelings for Luo Li and forcefully brainwashed herself, saying that Luo Li's kindness towards her was only for her body. Her teasing of Luo Li was just her way of seeking confirmation. As long as Luo Li made any inappropriate moves towards her, she would immediately abandon her longing for Luo Li and confront him. She was such a girl, tougher than anyone else, yet more fragile than anyone else. Liu Chuan's family in Blue Star was a reconstituted family, where no one loved Liu Chuan. Liu Chuan used to be someone who didn't trust anyone and only believed in himself. Fortunately, in his past life, he met someone who changed him. Although the two of them couldn't be together in the end, Liu Chuan owes her a lot for the changes she brought about in him. Recalling the deepest memory of her actions at that time, Liu Chuan tried to carve it into his memory. Walking towards Su Lianlian, he had some things to say to her. Of course not, I am genuinely worried about you. Liu Chuan embraced Su Lianlian. I am neither on the side of righteousness nor on the side of the demonic sect. As long as you don't betray me and stand by my side, then I will be on Lianlian's side. Just trust me. As long as you still stand by my side, I will stand by yours. Anyway, I am the antagonist of this world, and you are an undercover agent in the demonic sect who can't find love. It's a perfect match. Su Lianlian leaned against Liu Chuan's chest, listening to his affectionate words, feeling an unprecedented sense of peace, unable to suppress her emotions any longer, tears streaming down her cheeks. As if trying to compensate for all the previous pain and sorrow, the tears she shed were more than all the tears shed in the first half of her life combined. Deep down, she wanted to say many things to Liu Chuan, but the words that reached her lips turned into attacking words. The habit Su Lianlian had developed for a long time reminded her not to trust anyone, and she couldn't overcome this barrier within herself. Sooner or later, I will kill you, idiot. Su Lianlian buried her head deeper, tears wetting Liu Chuan's chest. But her mouth spoke viciously, now we have a mutually beneficial relationship, so I will listen to you. The day I retrieve the love potion will be the day of your death. Liu Chuan knew what kind of person the girl in his arms was, so he only responded to her harsh words with a, So, will you betray me? Su Lianlian tiptoed, her hands encircling Liu Chuan's head, and answered Liu Chuan with a kiss. Unlike their passionate kisses before, this kiss was like a trickle, a gentle and continuous flow. They didn't know how long it had been until Su Lianlian finally separated from Liu Chuan. Moist corners of her eyes, red tip of her nose, blushing cheeks. She didn't want Liu Chuan to see her like this, so she ran to a corner of the room to tidy up the pill bottles. These medicinal pills are basic recovery pills. Keep 2 bottles of each for yourself and sell the rest. If we split the profits, is a 70-30 split acceptable? A 70-30 split. Su Lianlian didn't expect Liu Chuan to be so generous, allowing her to keep 6 bottles and still receive a share of the profits. Too little. Then let's do a 64-36 split. Su Lianlian's lips twitched. She wanted to scold Liu Chuan for being a clueless idiot when it came to calculations, but she thought that if he regretted it, she wouldn't receive as many benefits. In the end, she just nodded. Before leaving, Su Lianlian remembered something she wanted to say. Do you know how to refine foundation building pills? I have a mission from the sect in a few days, and the reward for the training is foundation building spiritual herbs. If you know how, I won't have to spend money to find someone at the Medicine Valley. I haven't refined them before, but I have confidence. Leave it to me. Alright, see you in a few days. Su Lianlian thought that Liu Chuan was just being modest, claiming to be a master-level genius who could easily refine spirit pills with pill patterns, but saying that he hadn't refined foundation-building pills before. Be careful outside, don't provoke anyone, especially in the sect. Especially Luoli, don't be fooled by his harmless appearance, he's actually quite scheming. You've mentioned Luoli's name several times, I've already remembered it. I'll go first. After saying that, Su Lianlian's figure disappeared into the night. Liu Chuan also had his own selfish motives. He didn't want Su Lianlian and Luoli to develop the same kind of relationship as in the original work. In the original work, Luoli didn't cherish you, so Liu Chuan will take care of her for you. Whether it's Lin Qingshe or Su Lianlian, Liu Chuan doesn't want to let go. In his previous life, he accomplished nothing and died early without completing anything he wanted to do. In this life, he will not have any regrets and strive to give the good girls around him a happy ending. Happiness is something you fight for yourself. Liu Chuan recalled his powerlessness in front of Li Luo Patriarch. Faced with a true powerhouse, he was still too weak. As long as he consolidates for a while longer, he can start refining pills to advance to the gold core stage. He wants to step into the gold core stage ahead of others. Liu Chuan cultivated throughout the night. Early the next morning, the door that hadn't been knocked on for a long time was finally knocked. Thinking it was Elder Wang Song coming to urge him to practice the Longqing Ju, Liu Chuan opened the door to find Lin Qingshe in casual clothes, with Luoli dressed in men's clothing behind her. When Luoli saw Liu Chuan, she said, I'm going out to complete a sect mission tomorrow. Senior brother, you won't be able to bully me anymore. He. The system's voice sounded. Mission. Seize the opportunity the protagonist obtains during the mission and obtain the bone tempering technique. Mission reward. Bone tempering technique, basic accomplishment. Liu Chuan responded with a smile. Luoli didn't know yet, but he would also participate in this sect mission. Liu Chuan's senior brother was clearly laughing at himself, but Luoli felt a chill. Luoli felt that Liu Chuan had a talent for playing the role of the antagonist. If he were to become an actor, he would definitely be famous for his superb acting skills as a clown. Although senior brother is handsome and talented in cultivation and swordsmanship, he doesn't have many friends in the sect. Perhaps the only person who can be considered a friend is the unlucky person who is bullied every day, which is her. Fortunately, the days of being humiliated are about to end. After obtaining the opportunity from the ancestor in the sacred land of the sect, her cultivation has been smooth and her progress has been rapid. Now she has reached the chi refining stage, only one step away from the foundation building stage. As if blessed by the heavens, when Luoli lacked the spiritual herbs needed for the foundation building pill, she found a good mission in the Hall of Merit. As long as she spends 2 days going to the small town of Wiguo in the west to find someone, she can pick 2 spiritual herbs from the Bayakao garden in the Medicine Valley. The mission is easy and the rewards are abundant, so Luoli immediately accepted it. She didn't believe that the registration for the mission was already full and that senior brother Liu Chuan couldn't come along. Lin Qingshe was wearing ordinary clothes, which highlighted her graceful figure more than the female Taoist robe. Coupled with light makeup, she looked even more elegant and charming. Liu Chuan's gaze was attracted by the unusual appearance of his senior uncle. Lin Qingshe felt a little shy under his gaze and turned her head to the side with a blush on her face. Seeing this scene, Luoli felt a sense of frustration and reported it to her master. "Master, why aren't you saying anything? Why are you just standing there?" Under the urging of her disciple, Lin Qingshe could only suppress her shyness and speak up. "Liu Chuan, do you have any other plans today? Would you like to go to the town with me to buy something?" "Senior uncle's invitation. How could I have other plans? Let me tidy up and we can leave." To the east of Immortal Gate is the back mountain that stretches for thousands of miles, while to the west is the town where mortals and cultivators coexist. The three of them strolled through the town, with Lin Qingshe and Liu Chuan walking side by side, while Luoli sensibly slowed down and followed behind them. Luoli is leaving the sect tomorrow to complete a mission outside. It's her first time going on a mission. "Liu Chuan, help me pay attention to what can be bought around here and let her carry it with her." "I understand, senior uncle." Liu Chuan nodded. After that, the two fell into silence again, each looking at the vendors on their respective sides. Luoli couldn't bear to watch from behind anymore. She felt like a big light bulb, making it difficult for the two of them to relax. One is her senior brother of the same generation, and the other is her senior master. If Luoli is present, they would consider her existence and not speak freely. But this is not what they agreed upon. She clearly made an agreement with her master that after they reached the peak of the sect, her master and Liu Chuan would go to the town to buy things, while she would return to her own mountain gate to prepare for the journey. Just now, Lin Qingshe took advantage of Liu Chuan's absence and insisted on following along with Luoli. She had no choice but to come along. "We need to create an opportunity for the two of them to be alone, so let's slip away for now." Luoli casually found an excuse. "Master, I see a shop selling talismans over there. Let's go take a look. You and senior brother Liu Chuan can take your time shopping." Arriving at the talisman specialty store, there were all kinds of talismans in the shop, such as the 1,000-mile talisman and the burrowing talisman, which dazzled Luoli. The shop owner, a middle-aged man, greeted the customers, saying, "Welcome. Feel free to look around. We just received a dozen or so sound transmission talismans today. They can transmit sound to someone holding the same talisman even thousands of miles away." It was crucial for Luoli to be able to contact the sect while away from home. "Boss, how much are these sound transmission talismans?" 10 spirit stones each, with a minimum purchase of 2. "I'll buy 4. Please wrap them up for me." While the shop owner was packaging the sound transmission talismans, a voice that made Luoli feel disgusted came from behind. "Hold on, boss. How many of these sound transmission talismans do you have? I'll take them all." The person who came was Sima Dong, the young master of the Sima family who had been at odds with Luoli since their time in the inner sect. He had arranged to meet with his master, Nangongshi, in town today, but unexpectedly ran into Luoli, which was a pleasant surprise for him. He had been overshadowed by Luoli in both swordsmanship and enlightenment, and he didn't believe that he couldn't surpass Luoli in terms of wealth. This was his chance for revenge, and he wanted to humiliate Luoli at the market. "What do you mean? Don't you understand the concept of first come, first served?" Luoli's face showed disdain. The shop owner said to Sima Dong, "This customer was here first, and he only bought 4. There are still plenty left." Quote. Sima Dong arrogantly said, "Didn't you still haven't paid yet? Besides, in the market, the highest bidder gets the goods. Whatever the original price was, I'll pay double." The shop owner was also in a dilemma. He had never encountered this situation before. "This puts me in a difficult position. Boss, rest assured, sell them to me. I, the young master, have plenty of money. The Sima family has many industries in this town. If you don't sell them to me, you'll regret it," Sima Dong said while looking at Luoli. Although she had no expression on her face, she must be furious inside. He just enjoyed seeing others unable to tolerate him and unable to do anything about him. "I'm sorry, the customer who came first. I can't sell them to you. Please go to the nearby stores." After hearing that the later customer was the young master of the Sima family, the shop owner had no choice but to sell them to him. After all, it was related to whether his shop could continue to operate peacefully in the future. HMPH. Luoli snorted. She also knew that the shop owner had no choice. She felt wronged here. Is this Luoli, my niece? Nan Gongxi didn't see his own disciple in town, but instead saw Lin Qingshui's disciple and greeted her. Nan Gong elder. Luoli bowed with clasped fists. She still recognized this bootlicking senior brother, as the sword in her hand was a gift from him. When Sima Dong saw Nan Gongxi, he ran up to him and said excitedly, "Master. This is really a stroke of luck. Even the master is here to support me. Today, he will make Luoli embarrassed and seek revenge." Sima Dong, you're here too. Are you buying something in this talisman shop? The shop owner saw the visitors and thought they were distinguished and extraordinary. They believed that Nan Gongxi would handle the situation well, so they quickly explained what had happened. "Disciple, is what the shop owner said true?" "Master, every word he said is true. I am currently in need of voice transmission talismans and wanted to buy them here." "Steady, everything is steady now." Seeing Luoli's face darken, Sima Dong felt a sense of satisfaction in his heart. "You pay first." Sima Dong paid the money, the original price being 180 spirit stones, but he gave the shop owner 360 spirit stones. He wanted to show Luoli that he, young Master Sima, was not lacking in wealth. The shop owner believed that Nan Gongxi would handle it well, so they directly handed the voice transmission talismans to him. "You can take them." Contrary to what Sima Dong had imagined, his master didn't say this to him, but to Luoli. Luoli was momentarily confused when Nan Gongxi handed her the voice transmission talismans. Sima Dong shouted, "Master, I'm over here. Did you give it to the wrong person?" Nan Gongxi ignored Sima Dong and continued, "You wanted to buy this, right? Occasionally speak well of me in front of your master. The bootlicking senior brother is going all out." Luoli couldn't help but sigh. Sima Dong, who was standing next to Nan Gongxi, was completely bewildered. The item he had snatched from Luoli by spending money was now easily given away by his master. Luoli remembered that her master had once said not to refuse anything given by Nan Gongxi. She thought of it as compensation for the harassment and took the voice transmission talismans from his hand without hesitation. "Thank you, Uncle Master. I will definitely speak well of you whenever I have the chance." Just now, she called him elder, and now she called him Uncle Master. Nan Gongxi laughed heartily. "No need to thank me, it should be given to you. It's just that my disciple is ignorant. You can take the voice transmission talismans. We have plenty on our mountain." "Master, we don't have any on our mountain." Sima Dong wanted to deny his master, but Nan Gongxi cast a paralyzing spell on him. "In that case, Uncle Master, I just remembered that I need to buy something else. I'll go ahead." Seeing Sima Dong standing still with a shocked expression on his face, Luoli felt relieved. Uncle Master is really a good person. Unfortunately, the master already has someone in his heart. Senior brother Liu Chuan, you are truly sinful, destroying the last bit of hope for the bootlicking Uncle Master. Luoli decided that if Liu Chuan continued to badmouth her every day, she would speak ill of him in front of her master. It would be a way of indirectly speaking well of Nan Gong elder. Luoli always does what she says. She didn't spend a single spirit stone today and even got so many voice transmission talismans from Sima Dong for free. Just thinking about it made her feel relieved. After Luoli walked away, Nan Gongxi released the paralyzing spell on Sima Dong. When he could move again, Sima Dong angrily asked, "Master, why did you give it to Luoli? Our sect doesn't have any voice transmission talismans." "Disciple, you know that in our cultivation world, we value the law of earth and wealth. I don't lack the first three, but the last one, a partner, is what I've been unable to obtain." Nan Gongxi said with certainty, "For the sake of the master's happiness, make a sacrifice." But that Lin Qingshe elder clearly has an unclear relationship with Liu Chuan. "Master, can't you see it?" Sima Dong wanted to question his master, but he still wanted to live, so he could only remain silent. "Luoli, Liu Chuan." Sima Dong transferred his dissatisfaction with his master onto the two of them, and his hatred reached its peak. On the other side, Liu Chuan was shopping with Lin Qingshe. "Liu Chuan, what do you think of this?" They stopped in front of a miscellaneous shop, and Lin Qingshe pointed to the storage ring displayed on the counter. Luoli didn't have her own storage ring, so it would be perfect to buy one for her. The shop owner saw customers and warmly approached them. "Oh, madam has good taste. This is the men's version of the couple's ring. There's also a women's version. You and your partner can get a set and enjoy a discount." When Liu Chuan heard that he and Lin Qingshe were mistaken for a couple, he wanted to explain. But Lin Qingshe preemptively said, "All right, let's buy a set." What does this mean? Is Lin Qingshe indirectly confessing to me? Lin Qingshe bought 3 storage rings from the grocery store, 1 set of couple rings, and picked another one for Liu Chuan. "This is for you." Just as they stepped out of the store, Lin Qingshe handed a ring to Liu Chuan. Taking the couple's storage ring, Liu Chuan didn't know what to say, so he could only thank her first. "Thank you, Senior Lin." Seeing Liu Chuan's complicated expression, Lin Qingshe stopped and looked up at him. She tentatively asked, "Do you dislike this?" What does Senior mean by dislike? Does he mean he dislikes being mistaken as a couple with Senior Lin, or does he mean he dislikes Senior Lin herself? If I don't answer properly here, it will definitely hurt Lin Qingshui's feelings, and their relationship might drift apart. Lin Qingshe is a good girl, and Liu Chuan wants to cherish her. The street was bustling with people coming and going. But time seemed to freeze between Lin Qingshe and Liu Chuan. How could I dislike it? I'm secretly happy to be mistaken as a couple with Senior. I'm just afraid of being seen by people from the sect, which might have a negative impact on Senior. Hearing Liu Chuan's words, Lin Qingshui's anxious heart finally settled down. Her expression melted, and the corners of her mouth couldn't help but curl up. "Oh, so he's actually happy," Lin Qingshe thought. A warm feeling welled up in her chest, and she couldn't suppress the joy in her heart. Her smile was as bright as the sun, radiating a peaceful and serene aura. Liu Chuan thought that Lin Qingshe suited smiling. Although she was known for her coldness as a female sword immortal in the original work, her smile was warm like a spring breeze, exuding a tranquil and harmonious atmosphere. A warm current surged in Liu Chuan's heart. He wanted to express his attitude to Lin Qingshe, so as not to be misunderstood again. "Senior Lin, you're really beautiful." Seeing Liu Chuan rarely showing a serious expression but blurting out such words, Lin Qingshe burst into laughter. "Liu Chuan, what are you suddenly saying? It's the absolute truth. Do you think I'm beautiful? Then it's worth the effort I put into dressing up. I only dress up for you," Lin Qingshe thought. The two continued walking on the street, discussing what else to buy for Luoli to bring along. Liu Chuan felt that the atmosphere between them was good, so he tentatively reached out to hold Lin Qingshui's hand. Seeing Liu Chuan reaching out his hand, Lin Qingshe decisively held it. "This feeling is really nice." At the same time, Sima Dong returned to the Immortal Gate 1 step ahead of Nangongshi. He recalled what happened at the market, and the more he thought about it, the angrier and more unwilling he became. Sima Dong pounded the table and said, "We were just 1 step away. If Master had arrived a few minutes later, we would have seen Luoli's painful expression. It was so hard to have a chance to show off in front of Luoli, and he had been waiting for this day for so long." Everything went smoothly, but in the end, it was ruined by the sudden arrival of Master. He wasted so many spirit stones and let Luoli take advantage of it. At this moment, Luoli must be mocking him somewhere. Sima Dong's anger surged, and he vowed, "Luoli, I will make you pay sooner or later." Wu Dian was Sima Dong's loyal follower and often came to his room to listen to his complaints. This time was no exception. Seeing him so angry, Wu Dian thought this was the moment to show himself. "Young Master Sima, calm down. I have a good way to get rid of Luoli." Wu Dian said to Sima Dong, "Do you know why she bought the voice transmission talisman?" Sima Dong asked, "Oh, what method? What does she need the voice transmission talisman for?" It's quite a coincidence. Yesterday, when Wu Dian and a few senior brothers went to the merit hall to accept a mission, they ran into Luoli. Seeing that she accepted a mission to find a missing disciple of the sect, he kept it in mind and they all accepted the same mission. Tomorrow, Luoli will leave the sect and go to a small town in the west to complete the sect's mission. The voice transmission talisman is used to contact Elder Lin Qingshe. The town is far away from the Immortal Gate, and it takes 4 days to travel back and forth. The journey is long, and the situation outside the sect is dangerous and complicated. It's normal for accidents to happen on the way. Upon hearing this, Sima Dong's joy was evident. "Great, An accident would be perfect. How can one truly live without any accidents? He took out a bag of spirit stones from the storage ring and threw it to Wu Dian. Tell me what happens on the way back. If something unexpected happens, I will reward you generously. After buying various elixirs for Luoli in the largest trading firm at the market, Lin Qingshe finally felt relieved. Last time, she didn't bring any detoxification elixirs and suffered a setback in the secret realm. If it weren't for Liu Chuan, her cultivation path would probably have ended there. Lin Qingshe looked at Liu Chuan with gratitude in her heart, and Liu Chuan smiled back at her. A blush appeared on Lin Qingshui's face, and she quickly turned her head to the side, tightening her grip on Liu Chuan's hand. After strolling on the street for a while, Lin Qingshe blushed and said she wanted to go find Luoli. Sitting in the seat, Liu Chuan began to contemplate how to safely and easily practice the bone tempering technique. In the original work, this task marked the beginning of Luoli shedding her innocence. Through this task, she witnessed the true cruelty of the cultivation world and achieved great accomplishments both physically and mentally. On the surface, the task was to find the missing disciples of the sect, but it actually involved the dark plans of the evil cultivators. Although it was only briefly mentioned, in the original work, all the residents of Azure Rock Town died. The first group of disciples sent by the Immortal Gate to the town were completely wiped out, and only 2 people survived from the second group, Lu Li and the other person was Su Lianlian. Lu Li and Su Lianlian were trapped in Azure Rock Town for several days. They joined forces and used all their efforts to defeat the powerful evil cultivator, Zuo Tianya. At the thought of Su Lianlian, a hint of anxiety arose in Liu Chuan's heart. This mission in Azure Rock Town of the Wu Kingdom was extremely dangerous, to the point of being a matter of life and death. If the plot deviated even slightly from the original work, Su Lianlian might be in danger. But according to the original plot, Su Lianlian and Lu Li formed a deep bond after this mission. Liu Chuan didn't want to see Su Lianlian fall in love with Lu Li, just like in the novel. Lu Li couldn't give her happiness. Liu Chuan glanced at the system task. As long as he had the system and worked hard to cultivate, he believed he would become an outstanding figure in the cultivation world. What Lu Li couldn't give, he would. Liu Chuan decided to pay more attention to Su Lianlian during the mission. As for Lu Li, Liu Chuan believed that she had the protagonist halo and wouldn't encounter any trouble, at least not around him. But how could he join the mission? According to the Immortal Gate's rules, one had to go to the Merit Hall at least 2 days before the mission to receive the assignment. If Lu Li was going to set off tomorrow, it was already too late to accept the mission now. Liu Chuan thought of the disguise technique. In the sacred land of the sect, he had absorbed the reward given by the Dao Rhyme system, which allowed him to change his appearance and aura to that of someone else. Author's thoughts. The disguise is to reveal Lu Li's background. If Liu Chuan is by her side, she will instinctively rely on him. The female lead doesn't like the person Liu Chuan disguises as, and Liu Chuan's disguise will be exposed during the mission. As long as he could knock out a member of the mission before the assembly tomorrow morning and then disguise himself as that person, he could naturally join the mission. To calm his restless heart, Lin Qingshe came to Liu Chuan's side. What's wrong? You look so serious. What are you thinking about? Lin Qingshe lightly patted Liu Chuan's shoulder. It's nothing. Liu Chuan was startled and explained in a flustered manner, I just remembered that I haven't finished writing the Long Qing technique, and Elder Wang Song will definitely come to urge me again. In fact, Liu Chuan had already finished writing the Long Qing technique, given by Patriarch Li Luo. He just casually made up an excuse. You've worked hard. Lin Qingshe looked at Liu Chuan's face, her eyes filled with worry. Don't exhaust yourself. When I return to the sect, I'll find Elder Wang Song and ask him not to urge you anymore. This is my duty. As a disciple of the Hope Immortal Gate, I am willing to contribute to the sect and endure any hardship. There's no need for Master Uncle to find Elder Wang Song. It's just that these few days, Luoli went out for training, and I thought of staying at home to cultivate and seize the time to complete the Chengqing technique. When Luoli comes back, she can practice with her without any worries. At the thought of not seeing Liu Chuan for a few days, Luoli going on a trip and not being on the mountain, and herself being alone on the mountain as before, Lin Qingshe felt a hint of loneliness. Important matters come first. Don't neglect your cultivation. Senior Marshal brother is still in seclusion. If there's anything you can't figure out, come find me, Lin Qingshe nodded. Thank you, Master Uncle, for your concern. I understand all of this. Master Uncle, weren't you going to find Luoli? Where is she? Lu Chuan asked. Lin Qingshe said nervously, I couldn't find her. Maybe she went back to the Hope Immortal Gate. There was nothing else to buy, so the two of them leisurely walked back to the Hope Immortal Gate. When they reached Lin Qingshui's mountain gate, Luoli was indeed there. Seeing their master and senior martial brother return, Luoli excitedly recounted what had happened at the market. However, the reactions of the two surprised Luoli. Lin Qingshe explained that Nangongshi had been harassing her unilaterally and she had never spoken to him proactively. Lu Chuan just smiled and said he knew. Luoli felt disappointed and simply ignored the two of them, going back to her room to pack her belongings. Early the next morning, at the entrance of the Hope Immortal Gate, the group gathered to search for the missing disciples of the sect. Apart from Luoli, Sulianlian, and the disguised Lu Chuan, there were also Wudian and his two subordinates, making a total of 6 people. You must be Luoli. Wudian pointed at Luoli. In this mission, you have the least experience and as a newcomer, you should listen to us. Understand? After saying that, Wudian even spat on the ground near Luoli's feet. He wanted to establish his dominance over Luoli and let her know who was in charge. Wudian and his 2 lackeys had arrived at the entrance of the Hope Immortal Gate early in the morning to discuss how to teach Luoli a lesson and make her stop opposing young Master Sima Dong. At the very least, they wanted to exchange harsh words on the way and discussed Luoli when they were together. After the last member of the mission, Mang Ching, arrived, Wudian scanned the people present and felt secretly delighted. Except for Luoli, everyone else was familiar to him. Sulianlian, who was standing a little further away, was always extremely indifferent and uninterested in anyone, so she naturally wouldn't meddle in other people's affairs. As for Mang Ching, it goes without saying. We had been on several missions together before, and I knew everything about him. If I told him that Luoli was Sima Young Master's enemy, he might even join me in excluding Luoli. It's really a stroke of luck. Thinking of this, Wudian chose to establish his dominance over Luoli right from the beginning, embarrassing her. So the scene just now happened, with Wudian demonstrating in front of Luoli. Luoli was filled with anger when she saw Wudian acting so arrogant. Sima Dong is truly a petty person who holds grudges, and Wudian is just a bully who relies on others. Luoli had seen Wudian by Sima Dong's side before. At that time, he was fawning over Sima Dong with a flattering expression. Wudian was clearly sent by Sima Dong to target her. Although Luoli was annoyed with Wudian, she remembered that the mission stated that all participating disciples from the sect had to go to the destination, Azure Rock Town, together in order to disband. After disbanding, they would still have group activities, so she had to endure it. She would have to be with this person for at least 2 days, so she couldn't let the relationship become too strained. Lu Chuan had spent some time disguising himself as Mang Ching. The disguise was simple, but he had bought new clothes for Lu Chuan. As soon as he arrived at the gate and the gathering point, he saw Wudian pointing and gesturing at Luoli. Before he could figure out what was going on, the system suddenly sounded. Detected that the protagonist Luoli is feeling angry. Rewarding mission points, 300. Accumulated villain points, 2,400. 300 points, why is it so high? Lu Chuan exclaimed in his heart. Ever since the system's point shop was upgraded, as long as Luoli was nearby and felt negative emotions, the system would detect it and give Lu Chuan corresponding points. In the past month, Lu Chuan had been humiliating Luoli every day, but the effect was getting worse and worse, and the points given were getting fewer and fewer. The least he had received in a day was only 40 points. Why did he receive so few points when he mocked and humiliated Luoli every day? Forget it, he would think about it later. Luoli suppressed her anger and tried to appear calm. She said, "This is my first time going out on a mission, so I hope my senior brothers and sisters can take care of me." Although Luoli's words sounded submissive, she did not surrender to Wudian. She turned around and said this to all the senior brothers and sisters present. Seeing Luoli showing weakness, Wudian smiled. He thought he had surpassed Luoli. Listening to Sima Dong complain about Luoli every day, he thought she was powerful, but now he realized that she was just a new chi refining stage disciple. After all, one could only rely on strength to speak outside. Among the mission members, only Mang Ching and himself were at the foundation building early stage, while the others were all at the chi refining late stage. On this journey, he couldn't just say whatever he wanted. Wu Dian responded, "Good to know. On the way, if I tell you to go east, you can't go west. Be careful with everything yourself. I won't be responsible for any accidents." Liu Keano recalled the image of Mang Ching from the original work and casually said, "I don't have that ability yet to take care of others." Su Lianlian was just watching Luoli and Wu Dian from the side, expressionless, as if she had no interest in their affairs. After everyone had gathered, they began to move towards the destination of the mission. Because their cultivation levels were low and their spiritual energy was not enough to fly on swords to the destination, they could only walk quickly. The destination of this mission was Azure Rock Town, located west of the Wu Kingdom, near the Immortal Gate. The eastern continent where humans reside is higher in the middle and lower on the outskirts. Immortal Gate and other sects are concentrated on the high plateau mountains in the center of the continent, while the edges of the continent are occupied by secular countries established by non-cultivators. There is a desert wasteland separating the secular countries and the cultivation sects. Most secular countries choose cultivation sects as their backers. Every year, they offer spirit beasts and basic spiritual herbs in exchange for the sect's protection. Wu Country is no exception. Half a month ago, the mayor of Azure Rock Town in Wu Country sent a letter to seek help from Immortal Gate. He mentioned that fierce beasts were rampant in the nearby mountains, and the spirit beasts intended for Immortal Gate had been frequently stolen by these beasts. He requested that disciples be sent to hunt and kill the beasts. Since the first group of disciples sent out had no news until now, Immortal Gate decided to issue this task and sent Lu Li to search for the whereabouts of the missing disciples. Finding the people will be rewarded with additional benefits. After walking briskly for a whole morning, the group had already left Immortal Gate 50 kilometers behind and arrived at the transitional zone between Wu Country and the cultivation sects, which was a large desert wasteland. The wasteland was vast and sparsely populated, but there were a few small villages even though human activity was rare. Upon reaching a small village, Wu Dian spoke, "Rest here for a while. After resting, we need to speed up because someone might not be able to reach the Wu Country border tonight." Wu Dian really regarded himself as the leader among the members of the mission. While speaking, he looked at Lu Li. This was because Lu Li's speed was slower during the journey, lagging behind. Clearly, the team leader was walking too fast. Lu Li thought indignantly. Detected that the protagonist Lu Li feels dissatisfied. Reward for mission points, 500. Accumulated villain points, 3,700. There are points to be earned, and it's 500 points. After only half a morning of action, thanks to Wu Dian's occasional sarcastic remarks towards Lu Li, Liu Keano had already earned 1,600 points. "Thank you, Wu Dian." The team temporarily disbanded, and Liu Keano casually strolled around the village. He had transmigrated to the cultivation world and had not yet seen a secular town. The village was not big, with only 30 to 40 households, and the houses were all flat stone houses. Although it was located in a desert area, there were still many crops and domesticated animals such as cows, horses, and camels in the village. When the villagers saw cultivators coming to rest in the village, they came out curiously to take a look. "Grandma, are they immortals?" A 5 or 6-year-old child hid behind her grandmother and stole glances at Lu Li and the others. The older woman touched the girl's head and gently said, "They are all cultivators, able to fly and disappear. They are indeed immortals. Really, so amazing. They are indeed immortals. There's also a beautiful fairy sister over there." The little girl pointed at Su Lianlian and said, "Grandma, can I become as beautiful as a fairy when I grow up?" The grandmother smiled and said, "Good girl, as long as you eat well and behave well, you will definitely be as beautiful as a fairy." Most of the villagers in the village were elderly people and children. The young and middle-aged either went to Wu Country to farm or did business on the high plateau where Immortal Gate was located to earn money and were not at home. Upon hearing the conversation between the little girl and her grandmother not far away, Su Lianlian felt a warm feeling in her heart. She has never been sincerely praised for her beauty. All those compliments were just empty words from men trying to get close to her. Take, for example, Mang Ching, a colleague who has always tried to please her and wanted to be her partner. He's just delusional. And then there's Liu Keano, who used to say she was cute. Thinking of Liu Keano, Su Lianlian shook her head. She felt that Liu Keano couldn't be compared to Mang Ching. Throughout this journey, she had been secretly observing Luo Li. Liu Keano had warned her multiple times to be careful around Luo Li and to report any news about him to him. She wanted to see who this Luo Li really was. After observing him all morning, Su Lianlian felt that Luo Li was nothing special, just overly idolized by Liu Keano. Let's take another look. If Luo Li really isn't a big deal, maybe she can use Wu Dian or Mang Ching to get rid of Luo Li during the mission. Solve the big problem in Liu Chuan's heart and give him a surprise. HMPH, it's not for that idiot. Suddenly, a voice interrupted Su Lianlian's thoughts. A man suddenly ran out from the crowd and shouted, "Immortal, it's really an immortal." Su Lianlian's attention returned to reality, and Luo Li and the others also looked at the old man. He knelt in front of everyone, panting and tearfully excited, saying, "Dear immortals, please have mercy and save my grandson. He's my only grandson, he can't be in danger." At this moment, in the western continent, far away from the human territory, in the central temple of the demon sect. Congratulations on the sect master's emergence from seclusion. A girl who looked somewhat similar to Su Lianlian half knelt in the center of the demon sect's temple. She sensed the sect master's aura and knew that after she finished her seclusion, she immediately put down what she was doing and came to pay her respects. Congratulations my ass, it pissed me off. I had some insights and my cultivation was about to advance, but my old injuries flared up and the pain left me without any inspiration. The sect master of the demon sect sat on the chair in the hall and picked up a cup from the table, smashing it on the ground. Righteous sects, claiming to be just but attacking me. I will make them pay sooner or later. Su Muxu didn't dare to raise her head. The angry sect master was too terrifying. By the way, Muxu, has anything major happened during my seclusion? The sect master's voice returned to normal, and it wasn't her style to vent her anger on her trusted subordinate. Su Muxu lowered her head and reported, "Everything is normal within the demon sect, and there hasn't been any movement from the demon clan. As for the righteous sects, Su Lianlian sent a letter and then sent a manual." "Oh, Su Lianlian is your twin sister, right? I remember she volunteered to become a spy at the Immortal Gate. It seems she has gained something. Bring me the letter and manual to have a look." Su Muxu nodded and handed the modified, Chengqing Ju, by Liu Keano and the letter to the sect master for inspection. She was actually very worried. She had also read this complete version of Chengqing Ju several times. Although it didn't have any content similar to the demon sect's techniques, she found it strangely familiar. Su Muxu was worried that her sister had been deceived. If the sect master also thinks this way and gets angry about it, Su Lianlian will suffer. No matter what, if she is her own sister, she can only rely on herself to bear the sect master's anger on her behalf. The sect master of the demon sect lazily read the letter. After understanding the general situation, it means that the Chengqing Ju, sent back by Su Lianlian is currently being personally transmitted by the founder of the Immortal Gate. This, Chengqing Ju, is very meaningful to the demon sect. Being able to find weaknesses in the cultivation method of the Immortal Gate and conveniently target them in a battle of techniques. Perhaps it can also absorb its advantages and allow the disciples of the demon sect to cultivate, thereby increasing the overall strength of the demon sect. The sect master quickly scanned Liu Chuan's modified version of the Chengqing Ju, his eyebrows furrowed, sitting upright. This is. In the hall, Su Muxu saw that the situation was not good and immediately knelt down and begged for mercy. "Sect master, please calm down. If there is any problem, find me. Please spare Su Lianlian this time. She was just eager to make contributions and was deceived by someone." "Muxu, what are you saying? Get up quickly. I'm just amazed at how extraordinary this Chengqing Ju is. Just by reading it once, I feel my cultivation improving, and even my old injuries are alleviated to some extent. Truly unparalleled, it is the work of the founder of the Immortal Gate." The sect master of the demon sect waved his hand. "Your sister has done a great deed. Go and record it for her, give her some rewards, and when it's time to select the saintess, give her more support. You can leave now. I suddenly had a flash of inspiration and need to meditate. Take care of the matters of the demon sect. Yes. Su Muxu felt relieved and breathed a sigh of relief. It seems that her own level is not enough to understand the profoundness of the original version of the Chengqing Ju by the founder of the Immortal Gate. Leaving the sacred hall, Su Muxu sincerely felt happy for her sister, but also felt tired. As the trusted aide of the sect master, she had a lot of work to do. It was hard enough for her to have a few days off when the sect master came out of seclusion, but she didn't expect that she would have to go into seclusion again. No, she must give Su Lianlian more rewards. She doesn't have overtime pay, and the sect master said to give more, so she will give generously. Su Muxu picked 4 fifth-grade law treasures from the treasure trove and took dozens of spiritual herbs from the herb garden to put in the storage ring and sent them to Su Lianlian. Anyway, the sect master never pays attention to these things, so she can just report any number she wants. It can be considered as her own reward for working overtime. Su Lianlian never knew how to write to herself. If she knew that she was the trusted aide of the sect master, would she come and get close to her? Forget it, it's better to keep it a secret from her sister for now. She hasn't established a stable position in the demon sect yet. She will give her a surprise when she has influence in the demon sect. Will her sister, who has always pretended to be strong and arrogant, come to coax her when that day comes? She will have to speak well of her in front of the sect master. Looking forward to that day. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my grandson. He has been unconscious for 3 days. The old man knelt down and pleaded for help from Luoli and the others. I have searched for nearby doctors, but to no avail. I can only seek help from you immortals to save my grandson. Behind the old man, 2 villagers carried a boy of about 10 years old. His face was pale and he was unconscious. Wu Dian glanced at the boy and ignored the kneeling old man, continuing to chat with his 2 subordinates. Unable to bear seeing an elderly person kneeling, Luo Li went forward to help him up and asked, "Please get up first. What happened to your grandson?" "Immortal, it's like this." Su Lianlian was also drawn in by the sudden event and listened to the old man's account. Like most of the young and middle-aged people in the village, the old man's son and daughter-in-law did business in Wu country and could only come back to reunite during holidays. The old man and his grandson relied on each other in the village. In order to supplement their income, the old man raised more than a dozen sheep and usually relied on finding grass in the wasteland to feed them. Occasionally, he would also take the sheep to graze near the village. 4 days ago, the grandson wanted to lighten the burden on his grandfather and went out to graze the sheep without telling him. He didn't return all night. The old man found his unconscious grandson not far from the village. The boy's body was soaked in blood, fortunately only from the sheep. There were also sheep bones and the corpses of 2 sheep nearby. The grandson was brought back home and had a high fever that didn't subside. He started talking nonsense. The old man searched for all the doctors nearby, but without exception, they were helpless and only knew that the boy had been poisoned. Just then, Luo Li and his group arrived in the village, igniting new hope in the old man. Recalling the past, tears streamed down the old man's face uncontrollably. Having exhausted all options for medical treatment, the only hope for his grandson was the cultivators before him. Luo Li approached the unconscious boy and saw that his face was as pale as paper and his body was emaciated. When she touched his arm, it was as cold as a stone. At this critical moment of life and death, if he wasn't treated soon, the child would probably not survive the day. Wu Dian, who had been watching the scene, suddenly spoke, "This child has been poisoned by scorpion venom. Although the poison is not strong, it is complex in nature. Moreover, the optimal treatment time has already passed, and none of us are skilled in medicine. There's no hope, let's prepare for the funeral." Upon hearing Wu Dian's words, the old man knelt down and cried, knocking his head on the ground. "Immortals, all-powerful immortals, I beg you to save my grandson. He is my only descendant. If he dies, I don't want to live either." Luo Li furrowed her brows. Undeniably, what Wu Dian said was true. Unable to bear seeing the grief of the old man with white hair, Luo Li decided to help this grandfather and grandson and searched her memories for knowledge of medicine. When she was a princess in the mortal world, her father had required her to take medical courses. The book mentioned a type of large scorpion that inhabited the desert on the western side of the eastern continent. They had spiritual cores in their bodies and were considered a type of spirit beast. An adult scorpion was about the same level as a cultivator in the foundation building stage. Their venom was not strong, but general detoxification pills were ineffective against them. Only the heavenly origin pill had an effect. Thinking of this, Luo Li took out a bottle of pills from her storage ring. Wu Dian's voice rang out again. Stop, are you trying to kill this child directly? The poison is not enough, you want him to experience his body exploding before he dies. As long as a small amount is taken, it can detoxify within the range that the child can tolerate, Luo Li argued. She couldn't just watch the old man's grandson die in front of her. As long as there was a glimmer of hope with the heavenly origin pill, she had to try. Wu Dian sneered, it's a waste of effort. Ordinary pills can't do it. At least a 7th grade heavenly origin pill is needed. How could an alchemist spend time and energy to refine high-grade basic pills? Even if there is one, you can't afford it. The grades of pills range from 9th grade, with higher grades having better effects. Legend has it that 9th grade pills and above have a perfect pill aura. Ordinary pills are usually 3rd or 4th grade, and the higher the grade, the more difficult they are to refine, with a high failure rate and higher requirements for spiritual herbs. That's why Wu Dian asserted that no alchemist would spend a lot of time and energy refining heavenly origin pills with high-grade spiritual herbs. Su Lianlian shook her head. Although she didn't agree with Wu Dian's approach, she had to admit that there was no solution in this situation, as she was well versed in the study of poisons. Ordinary detoxification pills have little effect on this kind of poison. The scorpion venom in children is complex and belongs to a neurotoxin. It causes the poisoned person to have continuous high fever and hallucinations. The heavenly origin pill used by cultivators can restore spiritual consciousness, so cultivators can take the heavenly origin pill to remedy this kind of poison. However, children are not cultivators, and they cannot withstand the dosage of the heavenly origin pill that can detoxify. The medicinal properties are too much for a child to bear. Whether it can detoxify or not is unknown, but it will definitely cause the child's body to explode and die. Reducing the dosage will not achieve the detoxification effect. Unless there is a supreme grade pill that can fully exert the medicinal properties of the spirit grass, just a little bit can detoxify. But how could such a pill exist? It actually exists. Su Lianlian remembered that 2 days ago, Liu Keano gave her 7 or 8 bottles of peerless grade heavenly origin pills with pill patterns. As long as she takes 1/4 of a pill, it can detoxify without affecting the child's body. That idiot said he would give her 2 bottles as well, and she just needs to take 1 pill from her own share and feed it to the child. Without hesitation, Su Lianlian opened her storage ring and took out a heavenly origin pill. Wu Dian saw Su Lianlian still taking out the pill after listening to his words, and sneered, Su Lianlian, why do you want to get involved? Do you have a higher grade heavenly origin pill? Don't make me laugh. A heavenly origin pill above the 7th grade has a market price of around 700 spirit stones. According to Wu Dian's knowledge, Su Lianlian did not come from a cultivation family, so how could she casually take out a high-level pill to save a stranger? At this time, Liu Keano, who was wandering around the village, returned to the crowd. He saw the kneeling old man, the withered-faced little boy behind him, and the solemn expression on Luo Li's face. He recalled this small episode from the original story. Luo Li, who was eager to save the child, faced Wu Dian's ridicule and wanted to take a risk and feed the heavenly origin pill to the child, but Su Lianlian stopped her. The doomed child, Luo Li wanted to save him but was powerless, and could only accept reality. After that, she regained her medical skills and encountered another female protagonist. Mang Ching, don't you like Su Lianlian? Why don't you advise her? If she learns from the ignorant Luo Li and becomes a murderer, you will be an accomplice. I'm not interested in her. What does it have to do with me? Liu Keano coldly snorted. Wu Dian sneered, brother, you are as indifferent as ever. Even if you pursued her for several years, don't you have any emotional foundation? Liu Keano imitated Mang Ching's appearance and ignored Wu Dian, standing aside. He closed his eyes and pretended to cultivate. He extended his spiritual consciousness to observe Luo Li's reaction. Liu Keano wanted to know if this plot would unfold after his intervention. Su Lianlian walked towards the little boy with the heavenly origin pill refined by Lu Chuan. Passing by Luo Li, she said lightly, "Leave this to me." Luo Li saw the pill in Su Lianlian's hand, transparent and clear, as if it was emitting a faint light. There were also several patterns on it. Just passing by, the strong fragrance left by the pill was incomparable to the heavenly origin pills she bought in the market. Luo Li sighed softly. This is a 9th grade heavenly origin pill. The hearing of cultivators far surpasses that of ordinary people. Even Wu Dian, who was far away, heard these words. Wu Dian was about to speak, but his 2 lackeys spoke first. Luo Li, stop joking. Are you still hypnotizing yourself? How could it be a 9th grade heavenly origin pill? Let me tell you, if Su Lianlian kills that child, you will be an accomplice too. Who let you not stop her and boast about it? Are 9th grade pills something we can casually take out? Luo Li, you are really humorous. Indeed, that pill is not a 9th grade pill. The faint patterns on it are not something a 9th grade pill can have. Luo Li muttered to herself, it's not 9th grade. Wu Dian and his 2 lackeys showed expressions of disdain on their faces, ready to mock her. But Luo Li's muttering continued. The patterns on the pill are not something a 9th grade pill can have. They are pill patterns. That heavenly origin pill is not 9th grade, but a perfect pill beyond the 9th grade. Wu Dian didn't believe it. Su Lianlian had already divided the heavenly origin pill into 4 parts and fed 1/4 to the little boy. The villagers didn't understand what kind of pill or grade it was. They only knew that the fairy was feeding the child a miraculous pill. They all looked at the unconscious little boy, waiting for a miracle to happen. Wu Dian and his lackeys also stared at the little boy. They didn't believe that Su Lianlian, an ordinary disciple of the Immortal Gate, could really take out a high-grade pill. After swallowing the heavenly origin pill, the little boy's face showed a painful expression and he began to cough violently. The villagers and Luo Li's faces were filled with worry. Seeing this scene, Wu Dian felt relieved. It seemed that he had overthought it. The sound of coughing echoed in the silent village. Then the little boy spat out a mouthful of black blood. His face, which was pale and lifeless, became slightly rosy. He slowly opened his eyes and saw Su Lianlian, saying, "Am I dead? Sister Fairy, are you here to take me back to the underworld?" The crowd erupted in enthusiastic cheers as the little boy, who had been unconscious for several days, unexpectedly spoke. The villagers exclaimed in amazement. Little Wang woke up. He was poisoned by the desert scorpion venom. In the past few decades, although only a few people have been attacked in this desert, anyone who is poisoned by this scorpion venom is bound to die. The fairy is truly a miracle worker. The fairy has descended to earth, beautiful and kind-hearted. Grandpa Wang must be overjoyed. The successful awakening of the little boy brought relief to Luo Li. Su Lianlian was amused by the boy's words and asked, "You're alive, is there anything wrong with your body?" When the grandfather saw his grandson wake up, he knelt directly in front of Su Lianlian, tears streaming down his face in excitement. While crying, he said, "Thank you, fairy. The fairy is truly a blessing for my grandson. I have no way to repay you, no way at all. Please get up, I only did what I should do," Su Lianlian replied. Luo Li helped the old man up and said, "The scorpion venom has been neutralized. After a few days of rest, he will be able to live a normal life." Seeing the successful awakening of the little boy and that everything was normal, Wu Dian frowned and felt unhappy. Su Lianlian couldn't help but think that there might really be high-grade pills. According to Luo Li, it could be the pill pattern heavenly origin pill. How is that possible? The pill pattern heavenly origin pill sells for thousands of spirit stones in the market. How could Su Lianlian spend thousands of spirit stones to save a stranger who has nothing to do with her? There must be a problem. Wu Dian suddenly said, "This is just a temporary recovery. The boy will die soon." His voice wasn't loud, but everyone present heard it clearly. From the enthusiastic cheers to complete silence, it only took a few seconds. The grandfather was worried. He didn't know if what Wu Dian said was true or false. The words of the immortal were beyond the understanding of an ordinary old man like him. Wu Dian continued, "How could Su Lianlian casually produce a pill with a pill pattern? It must be a fake pill. The boy only had the poison neutralized, but the medicine will still cause his body to explode and die. Su Lianlian didn't want to pay attention to Wu Dian. This person was really unreasonable. Wu Dian, don't go too far. Luo Li spoke up. She had long been fed up with Wu Dian. He acted like he knew everything, but his thoughts were extremely dirty. He wished ill upon others and was completely despicable. No wonder he could be with Sima Dong. You see, you're getting anxious, Wu Dian sneered. It seems that what I said hit a sore spot. If Su Lianlian really has the pill pattern heavenly origin pill, let me appraise it. I have studied the basics of alchemy, and I can tell the grade of the pill at a glance. Su Lianlian was annoyed by Wu Dian's provocation. It would be better to set off early, complete the sect mission, and return to the Immortal Gate as soon as possible to cultivate on her own or find Liu Chuan. Take it, Su Lianlian said, throwing the pill to herself. Wu Dian carefully observed the pill he caught. Even though only 3/4 of it remained, the faint patterns on the pill were still visible. The pill was transparent and spiritual, and upon closer inspection, one could feel the sacred light emanating from it. The fragrance was strong yet refreshing, truly an extraordinary pill. This is really a pill pattern. How is this possible? I have never seen a basic pill like the Heavenly Origin pill reach this level of quality. The one who refined it must be a grandmaster. This level of craftsmanship can only be achieved by someone at the soul formation realm or above. Su Lianlian, where did you get this pill from? Su Lianlian remained expressionless and used her spiritual energy to retrieve the 3/4 heavenly origin pill, replying, I found it on my way. Liu Chuan saw everything with his spiritual sense and unexpectedly felt a bit shy and secretly delighted. He was shy because the pill he casually refined for practice unexpectedly had such a use. Not only did it gain the recognition of Wu Dian, a small antagonist, but it was also regarded as the work of a powerful expert. In fact, I'm only at the foundation building stage, sorry. The old man still couldn't understand the situation and asked Luo Li, Immortal, how is my grandson? Luo Li said, he's fine. Your grandson has already overcome the danger. The crowd erupted in excitement once again, with the villagers laughing and cheering. However, this time, a few people in the crowd were cursing Wu Dian. It seems that immortals also have good and bad sides. That immortal over their wishes for something bad to happen to little Wang. That's right, thank goodness for this selfless fairy who saved him. It seems like she used some precious pill. Wu Dian, as a cultivator at the foundation building stage, had exceptional hearing even among transcendent individuals. Even if the villagers were only whispering, he could hear them clearly. Liu Chuan, including his 2 subordinates, naturally heard as well and all looked towards Wu Dian, whose face had turned red. Wu Dian clenched his fists, his blood boiling. No matter how Immortal Gate spoke of him, he was the second in command of Sima Dong's small group. He could be considered superior to others. But now, in the mortal world, he was being looked down upon by a group of ordinary people with no cultivation. Liu Chuan and his 2 subordinates seemed to be silently mocking him. However, they hadn't actually said anything. Wu Dian could only seethe with anger and frustration. What are you looking at? Get ready to depart. We need to reach the borders of Wu country before nightfall. After giving some instructions to the villagers, Liu Chuan and his group set off, walking briskly through the desert. Leading the way were Wu Dian and his 2 subordinates, with Liu Chuan walking in the middle to maintain the pace. Su Lianlian and Liu Chuan were not in good physical condition, so they could only do their best to keep up at the back. After leaving the village, Liu Chuan vaguely felt that something was amiss. The sand beneath his feet seemed to be trembling, as if something was moving beneath him. The more Wu Dian thought about it, the angrier he became. The words of those villagers and the victorious faces of Liu Chuan and Su Lianlian lingered in his mind. It was all because of Liu Chuan and Su Lianlian that the villagers would slander him. If they had just ignored that child, he wouldn't have been insulted. I must make these 2 pay the price. When we reach the town, I'll have to disband our group. I can only create some accidents along the way, preferably ones that will kill both of them. Not only will this give Sima Dong an explanation, but Su Lianlian definitely still has some peerless grade pills on her. At the very least, she has 3/4 of a heavenly origin pill, worth 700 to 800 spirit stones. The average disciple of Wang Immortal Gate would only have a few hundred spirit stones in a few years. If I succeed, I'll be set for life. The only obstacle is Mang Ching, but I have a chance to get close to him, discuss our mutual interests, and I believe he will stand on my side. He might even give me some advice. The group walked quickly. Cultivators could use spiritual energy to enhance their physical abilities, easily surpassing the limits of ordinary people. The desert was desolate, and after leaving the small village, they hadn't seen another person. Suddenly, without any warning, a dark shadow emerged from the ground and pounced towards Wu Dian. As a cultivator at the foundation building stage, Wu Dian reacted in an instant, using his hands to resist. However, he was still knocked down and felt something piercing into his body. "Boss!" Wu Dian's two subordinates shouted. Wu Dian saw clearly that the thing attacking him was a completely black scorpion. It had stabbed him with the stinger on its tail, injecting venom into his body. "You creature dares to ambush me!" Wu Dian gathered himself and shouted as he drew out his spiritual sword, cutting off the scorpion's tail in one strike. The scorpion writhed in pain, its entire body moving. Wu Dian took the opportunity to kick it away and stand up. The slightly chubby subordinate said, "Boss Wu Dian, that's a huge bug." The slightly thin subordinate noticed that the bug's aura was extraordinary and shouted, "It's a desert giant scorpion at the chi refining stage." Wu Dian took out a heavenly origin pill and swallowed it. "Don't be afraid, it's just one. The 6 of us won't have any trouble dealing with it." The giant scorpion climbed up from the ground, no longer attacking, but instead crouching down and tapping the ground with its 4 pairs of legs. Wu Dian thought the scorpion was showing fear and laughed, saying, "What are you doing? Are you scared?" Liu Keano saw the scorpion's abnormal behavior and tried hard to recall his knowledge about desert giant scorpions. Suddenly, his face changed drastically. "Quick, stop it, it's calling for its companions." Desert giant scorpions are social spirit beasts. How could they act alone at the chi refining stage? Their adult forms could easily reach the foundation building stage. This one was just a juvenile, and its family must be nearby. Su Lianlian looked around. The ground was shaking like an earthquake, and sand was being thrown up high into the air. The wind blew the sand, dyeing the sky a sandy yellow, obstructing their vision. She drew out her spiritual sword and said, "It's too late." Wu Dian realized that something was wrong. His smile disappeared, and he swung his spiritual sword at the scorpion. "You beast, die." In that instant, the sand in front of the scorpion sank, and a 4-meter-long giant scorpion emerged from underground, blocking Wu Dian's attack. With a full force strike at the foundation building stage, the giant scorpion only suffered a wound, and its tough exterior momentarily numbed Wu Dian's arms. More giant scorpions emerged from the ground, 3 in succession, attacking Liu Keano and the others. Enemy attack. Wu Dian's 2 subordinates barely held off the assault and shouted. Liu Keano was also affected by everyone's emotions and became nervous. This part wasn't in the original work. The yellow sand obscures the sky, and the strong wind howls. The people who were originally walking steadily on the sandy ground were attacked by a desert scorpion. The sky filled with yellow sand obstructed their vision, dividing the team into 2 camps. In front of Wu Dian and his 2 companions stood a foundation building mid-stage and a chi refining mid-stage scorpion. Liu Keano, Su Lianlian, and Luo Li were dealing with 3 chi refining late-stage scorpions. "Mang senior brother, quickly take out your weapon, what are you standing there for?" Luo Li blocked the scorpion's poisonous tail that was charging towards Liu Keano with her spiritual sword, and sparks even flew between the tail and the sword. The scorpion was huge in size but extremely fast. Although the 3 scorpions only had the cultivation level of chi refining late stage, their overall strength far surpassed human cultivators of the same realm. With their resilient bodies and complex toxins, it was not difficult for them to kill foundation building stage cultivators. Liu Keano, disguised as Mang Ching, of course, was not slow to react. However, he didn't have a suitable weapon in his hand. The only weapon, the frost sword, was recognized by Luo Li, so revealing his identity was inevitable. He was actually protected by Luo Li while hesitating. Liu Keano imitated Mang Ching's tone and said indifferently, "Mind your own business. Just take care of yourself." After saying that, he walked towards one of the scorpions empty-handed. The spiritual energy in his hand transformed into the shape of a sword. With a gentle swing, the scorpion's body was split in half, and blood flowed all over the ground. From the split body, a round transparent sphere fell out. What is this? Liu Keano wondered. Before Liu Keano could bend down to pick up the sphere, another chi-refining scorpion attacked. Liu Keano skillfully dodged the attack. As a master at the foundation building late stage, dealing with these chi-refining stage bugs was a piece of cake. Seeing Mang Ching easily kill a desert scorpion with chi-refining mid-stage, as if killing a scorpion of the same level as chi-refining, Luoli realized that she had indeed meddled unnecessarily earlier. Su Lianlian felt unfamiliar with Mang Ching. Is Mang Ching really this strong? When he was pestering her, he was only at the chi-refining late stage. He made such rapid progress in such a short time. Did he have some fortuitous encounter, or was he intentionally hiding his strength? Clearly, even when she and Luoli were dealing with a chi-refining mid-stage scorpion together, it was quite difficult. The chi-refining mid-stage desert scorpion had a strength equivalent to the foundation building early stage. It was a wild spirit beast native to the cultivation world. With the yellow dust obscuring their vision, Liu Keano chose to stay close to Su Lianlian to ensure her safety and be able to save her in times of danger. He casually dealt with a chi-refining mid-stage scorpion. He felt that this chi-refining mid-stage spirit beast was not as good as Sima Dong, at least Sima Dong knew how to change attack methods. This bug either bites with its mouth or stings with its tail, so boring. On the other side, Wu Dian and his two companions were retreating under the attack of the foundation building mid-stage scorpion. Wu Dian could only use his spiritual sword to protect himself from the scorpion's charges and bites. The two companions barely managed to restrict the scorpion's attacks with its poisonous tail. To make matters worse, the chi-refining early-stage small scorpion that had its tail severed took the opportunity to launch a sneak attack on them. The three of them were rapidly losing their stamina. If they continued like this, they would only exhaust their spiritual energy and die under the scorpions, becoming their dinner. The skinny companion cried with a mournful face and said, "Wu Dian, what should we do?" Wu Dian raised his sword to prevent the scorpion's large mouth from tearing at him and said, "How would I know?" Instead of crying, "Why don't you go and slash this bug a few more times?" The chubby companion complained, "If I had known, I wouldn't have taken this mission. Luoli didn't get hurt, but I got myself into this mess. The goddess is still waiting for me at the immortal gate to have dinner with spirit stones." Wah! Forget about your goddess. She has long been with someone else, she just didn't tell you, Wu Dian said with a chuckle, but his expression changed from emotionless to sinister. Upon hearing this, the chubby companion threw his sword away and sat on the ground crying loudly while shouting the goddess's name. "But you did remind me, we can lure this bug to Luoli." Without further ado, Wu Dian gave up his defense and swung his sword towards the scorpion's mouth. The giant scorpion was in pain and completely enraged, charging at Wu Dian at full speed. Wu Dian quickly dodged the attack with his fastest speed, step by step leading the bug out of the sight of his two subordinates. Seeing that Luoli and Su Lianlian were still dealing with other giant scorpions, Wu Dian thought to himself, "Heaven is helping me too." With a swift slide, Wu Dian passed through the massive body of the scorpion. The giant scorpion's speed became faster and faster, wanting to bite the man in front of it. But in an instant, the person in front of it disappeared and was replaced by Luoli. However, it had no intention of stopping its charge. It wanted to kill everyone it saw. Luoli's attention was focused on the chi-refining stage bug in front of him. When he noticed something approaching him from behind, it was already too late. Turning his head, he saw a gaping mouth just 2 or 3 meters away from him. Although his brain reacted, his body couldn't keep up. In that instant, many images flashed through Luoli's mind. Death was so close to him. There were scenes of him as a child, watching lantern festivals with his father. There were scenes of his mother coming to his room on the day of his coming-of-age ceremony, telling him how to live well as a woman. There were scenes of his older brother betraying the revolution, under the instigation of evil people, and killing their father with his own hands, with his head falling to the ground. There were scenes of being chased to the edge of a cliff, being saved by the white-clothed female sword immortal, Lin Qingshui. There were scenes of him joining Lin Qingshui's sect, being mocked and instructed by senior brother Liu Keano under the watchful eye of their master, after losing in a competition. Various scenes flashed through Luoli's mind as he thought, "Am I going to die? That's fine too. Although I haven't avenged my grievances, I can finally reunite with my father and mother. Luo Li closed his eyes and accepted reality. Su Lianlian felt a powerful aura approaching, but her vision was obstructed and she couldn't see anything 2 meters away. By the time she saw the charging giant scorpion, it was already too late. The giant scorpion's target was not herself, but Luo Li next to her. To warn Luo Li, she could only shout, "Danger!" Wu Dian was overjoyed to see his plan succeeding. The annoying Luo Li would die because of this. Not to mention giving a good account to Sima Dong, he could also take this opportunity to escape. Hiding in the raised yellow sand, Wu Dian thought about witnessing Luo Li being swallowed. As long as Luo Li was swallowed, he would leave immediately. Just as the giant scorpion was about to bite Luo Li, it unexpectedly stopped and stood still. Luo Li didn't feel the pain he had imagined and opened his eyes. In front of him was a magnificent figure. It was Mang Ching standing in front of him, with a spiritual sword formed by condensed spiritual energy inserted into the scorpion's head. Just like when he casually killed the Qi refining stage giant scorpion before, he killed this foundation building mid-stage giant scorpion with one sword. Although it was their first meeting today, Mang Ching unexpectedly made Luo Li feel familiar. Am I alive? Luo Li's heart was filled with joy of surviving a disaster. Beyond the joy, there was also a sense of familiarity. He had felt this feeling not long ago. The giant scorpion fell down, raising more yellow sand. The sand blinded Luo Li's eyes, and his eye sockets were soaked with tears. The other desert scorpions, seeing their leader being killed, all burrowed into the sand and escaped. After a few moments, the swirling yellow sand stopped, and the sky became clear blue again. Only the hot wind whistled on the faces of everyone present. And the 4-meter-long giant scorpion lying on the ground, blood flowing everywhere, reminded everyone present that this was reality. The whole scene fell silent. The foundation building mid-stage desert scorpion was killed by Mang Ching's sword thrust. Wu Dian stood still, sometimes looking at Mang Ching, sometimes at the giant scorpion lying on the ground covered in blood. What happened? The mid-foundation building stage giant scorpion that he had fought against for such a long time before was undoubtedly powerful. His early foundation building stage cultivation, combined with the 2 Qi refining late stage lackeys, could barely withstand its attacks. But now, the giant scorpion was lying on the ground, with a large empty space above its head, clearly dead. The person who killed it was Mang Ching, who was inconspicuous in the immortal gate and not as strong as himself from head to toe. And it was a one-hit kill, only using one strike. How is this possible? If Wu Dian hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he would have thought it was the funniest joke he had ever heard, but this was the truth. Su Lianlian couldn't believe it either. She had only felt unfamiliar before, but now she was extremely surprised. The scorpion that attacked Luo Li was an adult, and according to the records in the book, it was at least at the mid-foundation building stage, or even the late foundation building stage. Yet it was killed by Mang Ching with a casual strike, in less than 10 seconds. What realm is he in now? Mid-foundation building stage, late foundation building stage, maybe even gold core. What can be confirmed is that he didn't encounter any fortuitous encounters, but rather concealed his own strength. Then why did he hide his strength and pretend to be close to his own level before? Could it be that he discovered his undercover identity and intentionally tested him? Su Lianlian didn't dare to think about it. The person to pay special attention to on this journey is not Luo Li, but Mang Ching. Wu Dian, what's going on? The one lying on the ground, how did it die? With his line of sight no longer obstructed, Wu Dian's 2 lackeys, one fat and one thin, saw their big brother standing not far away and ran over, only to see the desert scorpion lying on the ground. Wu Dian understood the reaction of these 2 lackeys very well, because he himself found it unbelievable. He added, it was killed by Mang Ching, with just one strike. Mentioning Mang Ching, everyone present looked at him. And Liu Keano, who was pretending to be Mang Ching, maintained his posture with his back to Luo Li, motionless. Liu Keano didn't know how to explain this situation. When the scorpion rushed towards Luo Li, the system told him that if the protagonist died here, the heavenly Tao would be angry and level the entire desert, causing all living creatures to die under the thunder punishment, including Liu Keano. Liu Keano didn't want to die because of a bug. He immediately transformed his spiritual energy into a sword and rushed to Luo Li, sending the little bug to the western heaven. Lu Chuan was somewhat worried that he would be recognized as not being Mang Ching himself. Mang Ching's cultivation was only at the early foundation building stage, but the great accomplishment disguise technique given by the system not only changed Lu Chuan's face to look like Mang Ching, but also his cultivation to the early foundation building stage. That's right, Lu Chuan killed the desert scorpion using only his early foundation building stage strength. Lu Chuan said to Luo Li, "Can't you even protect yourself? Your lax attitude won't survive in the cultivation world. You helped me once before, and now I don't owe you anything." As soon as Lu Chuan finished speaking, the system's voice sounded. Detected that the protagonist Luo Li feels ashamed. Rewarding mission points, 30. Accumulated villain points, 3,730. Hope the host will continue to work hard. The points obtained this time are the fewest today. Reflect on where you fall short compared to Wu Dian. What does this mean? Luo Li was still in a daze from the shock, but after Mang Ching's words, he finally recovered. Mang's senior brother's words were absolutely right. He was aware of the dangers in the cultivation world. It's just that he had lived a more comfortable life under his master's tutelage, without having to worry about anything, and he had become lax. If he continued to act like this outside, this time he had the help of kind-hearted Mang's senior brother, but who would it be next time, senior brother Lu Chuan? Thinking of Lu Chuan, Luo Li suddenly felt that Mang Ching and Lu Chuan were similar in some ways. The familiar sense of security just now was similar to the feeling of being held by senior brother Lu Chuan during the inter-sect competition. "Thank you, senior brother Mang, for your guidance." Luo Li stopped his random thoughts and saluted with clasped fists. The mid-stage giant scorpion in the fallen foundation building had dried up, and a round sphere fell out of the hollow on its head, several times larger than a mid-stage chi refining cultivator. Wu had sharp eyes and immediately recognized it as a spirit core. The spirit core of a mid-stage spirit beast in the foundation building stage was equivalent to the dantian of a human cultivator in the foundation building stage. It could be sold for 2,000 to 3,000 spirit stones in the market. Wu quickly approached and said, "Mang Ching, you're still so powerful. Truly my brother. Brother, I also played a part in killing this desert giant scorpion. My 2 junior brothers and I fought it for several rounds, exhausting its energy, which allowed you to kill it so easily. Look, why don't I take this spirit core and sell it, and we can split the proceeds among the 4 of us?" Su Lianlian frowned and thought to herself, Wu is shameless. Hearing what he said, Su Lianlian speculated that they couldn't handle the adult giant scorpion. In order to save themselves, they lured it to Lu Li's side, hoping to use the 3 of them as a distraction to escape. Unexpectedly, Mang Ching killed it. Clearly, it was all Mang Ching's credit, but Wu exaggerated his own contribution just to get a share of the spirit core. Lu Chuan was worried about how to get away from everyone's sight when Wu approached him. He didn't need this low-level spirit core. He could exchange a gold core stage spirit beast spirit core from the system store for just a dozen points, almost the same price as the raw materials for basic pills. If it was something not worth points, he could just take it. After taking it, he would do the work, and the lackeys should hurry up and help attract attention. Lu Chuan calmly said, "You decide." Wu went to pick up the spirit core, and his 2 subordinates found a small spirit core not far away. One was mid-stage foundation building, and the other was mid-stage chi refining. They estimated the value to be around 4,000 spirit stones. A quarter would go to Mang Ching, and Wu would still have 3,000 spirit stones. Ha ha ha, Mang brother is really easy to talk to. After selling it, I will definitely not shortchange you. Mang brother is so generous, and as the team leader, I can't be stingy either. Tonight, I'll treat everyone to the best in Wu country. Mang Ching just nodded. Su Lianlian couldn't help but roll her eyes. Wu was shamelessly trying to profit from the situation. Disgusting. After getting ready, everyone was cautious on the way, always paying attention to whether there were any vibrations underground to prevent another surprise attack from the giant scorpion. As the sun set, the desert sand under their feet turned into black soil suitable for planting crops. After walking on the plain grassland for a short time, the moon had just risen when they saw the gate of Wu country. 2 soldiers stood on either side of the gate, carefully verifying the identities of the people entering. To the west of Wu country was the ocean, to the east was the desert, and further east was the plateau where the cultivation sects were located. In order to facilitate the export of crops to the small town on the cultivation plateau and the annual tribute of spirit beasts, Wu country had designated the largest city in the country, Shangle City, at the easternmost part of the country. After the verification, it was confirmed that they were disciples of the One Immortal Gate, and Liu Keano and the others were allowed to enter. The buildings in Shangle City were all in an ancient style, and the bustling streets were brightly lit, creating a lively atmosphere. In the shopping street, one could hear the enthusiastic shouts of the vendors, and pedestrians coming and going, with laughter and joy filling the air. One of Wu's subordinates exclaimed excitedly, "This is the most luxurious city in Wu country, Shangle City." For cultivators who preferred tranquility, such a lively scene might not be seen for decades. But the people present had not been cultivating for a long time, and they still yearned for the bustling city life. The suppressed desires of ordinary people that had been suppressed for years were ignited, and they became excited. The city was brightly lit at night, and for a moment, Liu Keano mistakenly thought he had returned to Blue Star, feeling a sense of panic. When he saw Lu Li walking beside him, he confirmed that he was in the cultivation world and felt relieved. He had no nostalgia for Blue Star. Compared to a life of insignificance and being forgotten, Liu Keano preferred the cultivation world. Here, he felt more alive. He had someone to protect and unfinished business to attend to. Only Lu Li, seeing the bustling scene, was reminded of the capital of her country before her brother's coup, feeling a sense of sadness. Wu stopped and turned to the others, saying, "This is it, the inn run by the thriving Qianzhou Trading Company." Unlike the simple taverns of ancient times, this place was very luxurious. Upon entering the door, there was a magnificent lobby with exquisite pearl decorations on the ceiling. Various ink landscape paintings hung on the surrounding walls, giving the inn an elegant and upscale atmosphere. Wu walked up to the counter and said to the young man behind it, "Waiter, give us 6 single rooms." Qianzhou Inn. Liu Keano felt that the name Qianzhou sounded familiar. Qianzhou, Qianzhou. Before awakening his memories from his past life, the maid who had been abandoned by him seemed to be called that. But the cultivation world was much larger than Blue Star. How could it be such a coincidence? Perhaps he was overthinking it. The innkeeper hurriedly checked the bill when he heard that there was a guest coming to stay, only to find that there were no vacant rooms. He bowed his head respectfully and said to Wu Dian, "Sir, we don't have that many rooms in our inn. The only 5 rooms we have left have already been reserved." Wu Dian became impatient. He had boasted in front of everyone that he would let them stay in the best inn in Shangle City tonight. How could he say something and not do it, embarrassing himself? The rooms were just reserved. Wu Dian had heard in the sect that the disciples of the Qianzhou Chamber of Commerce and the Immortal Gate were esteemed guests. It should be easy to cut in line. Besides, 5 rooms were just enough to squeeze out Luoli and make him stay somewhere else. They haven't arrived yet, right? There are only 5 rooms, so check us in. The innkeeper was in a dilemma and muttered softly, "What should I do?" The boss of the Qianzhou Chamber of Commerce, Liu Keano, had said more than once to treat guests from the Immortal Gate and the Liu family with caution. They were all esteemed guests who couldn't be offended. But these rooms had already been reserved, and even though the 5 people who reserved them were always in debt, the Chamber of Commerce valued its reputation in business. The rooms that had been reserved couldn't be given to someone else. Just then, 5 tall and strong men entered the inn. The tallest one was over 2 meters tall, with muscular body, named Lu Hu, the leader of the 5. As soon as he entered, he heard someone saying they wanted to take his room. "Wait, who said we haven't arrived? Aren't we right here?" Seeing the disdainful look on the person talking to the innkeeper, Lu Hu couldn't stand it. "Shorty, go find another place to stay." When had Wu Dian ever been called shorty, especially by a martial artist like Lu Hu? With his tall stature and huge muscles, Wu Dian could tell at a glance that these 5 people were martial artists. In the cultivation world, cultivators were divided into 2 categories, those from cultivation sects and families, and those who focused on martial arts as ordinary people. Cultivators primarily cultivated spiritual energy to nourish their bodies and use various Dao techniques with spiritual energy. Martial artists primarily cultivated their physical bodies to nourish their spiritual energy. Although they were stronger in close combat at the same level, it was difficult for them to go far. Their lifespan was no different from ordinary people, and they couldn't enter the Great Tao. Cultivators generally looked down on martial artists, and Wu Dian was no exception. The anger he had suppressed in the desert village was about to be unleashed on Lu Hu. Today, he had said he would stay here, and no one could stop him. Besides, he had 2 spirit cores in his hand, and he would have plenty of spirit stones after selling them. In the market, only those who offered a high price could get the goods. That's what young Master Sima had taught him. Oh, how much spirit stones for 5 rooms for 1 night? I'll pay double. Innkeeper, you don't want to offend the esteemed guests from the Immortal Gate, do you? The innkeeper was just an ordinary person in charge of taking care of the shop. He had never seen such a situation before and was at a loss for words, not daring to offend either side. He secretly took out a sound transmission talisman and asked for help from the headquarters of the Chamber of Commerce. When Lu Hu heard Wu Dian's words, he clenched his fists, and the veins on his forehead bulged, clearly showing his anger. It was obviously the room he had reserved a long time ago, and this shorty was still pestering him. And he was pretending to be rich. Lu Hu always looked down on wealthy young masters. He wanted to let this ignorant person know what would happen if he provoked him. As the fierce tiger of Shangle, in the underworld, his anger was not something a weakling like this shorty could handle. Lu Hu rushed towards Wu Dian, raised his fist, and punched towards Wu Dian's face. Wu Dian just dodged backward, and Lu Hu's fist didn't hit him but hit the wall, breaking a landscape painting. Wu Dian could easily see through Lu Hu's movements. After all, he was a high-level cultivator at the foundation building stage, not someone like Lu Hu, an ordinary martial artist. Wu Dian taunted, "You're not good enough, bro." After saying that, he retaliated with a punch, gathering spiritual energy in his fist, making it harder than rock and almost as fast as sound. This punch hit Lu Hu's chest solidly, causing him to lose his balance and fall to the ground. Lu Hu wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and stood up. "Not bad, you're a cultivator. Don't waste words. Count to 5 and disappear before my eyes. You dare to think that? Let's fight." Lu Hu believed that it wasn't that he was inferior in skills, but that he had been careless. He hadn't expected that the seemingly weak Wu Dian in front of him would be a cultivator. He wanted to regain his reputation today and make these arrogant cultivators lose and be humiliated. "Stop." A powerful and melodious female voice sounded at the same time as the sound of the door being opened, attracting everyone's attention. The person who came in was wearing a light blue cheongsam, with long and slender legs and a slim waist. Her graceful and noble aura made it hard for people to look away. Seeing the person clearly, the innkeeper shouted, "Boss Liu Keano. Why are you here?" To the surprise of the innkeeper, he had thought that the headquarters would send a few people to solve the trouble, but he never expected that the founder of the Keano Chamber of Commerce, Liu Keano, would come. Liu Chuan looked at the woman who suddenly arrived and heard the innkeeper call her Liu Keano, feeling puzzled. In the original work, there was a maid abandoned by Liu Chuan who was also named Liu Keano, a name that coincidentally matched the beautiful and noble boss of the Chamber of Commerce. The cultivation world is so big, it can't be this coincidental, right? Liu Keano asked in response, "Why, can't I come?" She looked around and saw more than a dozen people in the hall, 2 people fighting in front of the counter, a big hole in the wall, and broken decorations scattered on the ground. "What happened here?" Liu Keano asked, her beautiful eyebrows slightly furrowed, revealing her displeasure. The innkeeper briefly explained the situation, specifically mentioning Lu Hu and others who often owed debts and didn't pay them back. In his heart, compared to the barbaric Lu Hu, he stood more on Wu Dian's side. Upon hearing the innkeeper's words, Liu Keano's eyes lit up. If there were guests from the Immortal Gate, she could inquire about Liu Chuan's situation. It had been half a year since they last met, and she didn't know how he was doing. She glanced at the people from the Immortal Gate, her gaze lingering on Liu Chuan, who had disguised himself as Mang Ching, and then she sniffed the air in the hall. Liu Keano couldn't help but laugh. Perhaps she didn't need to inquire anymore. "Mr. Wu is a disciple of the Immortal Gate?" she asked. "Absolutely true," Wu Dian said, taking out his sect token to prove his identity. Having spent some time at the Immortal Gate, Liu Keano naturally recognized that the token was not fake. She also had a similar token. Liu Keano nodded and then said, "Innkeeper, rent 5 rooms to Mr. Wu. Mr. Liu, please find another place." Wu Dian smiled happily, knowing that he had won in the end. The big guy who only knew brute force would have to give up the room to him. Upon hearing this, Liu Hu punched the wall, damaging another painting. The frame shattered, and the painting wrinkled. He had thought that the boss would come and understand the principle of first come, first served, and that he would be in the right. He never expected her to tell him to get lost as soon as she opened her mouth. "What do you mean? Clearly, we made the reservation earlier. Is there no justice left?" Liu Keano stood proudly, saying without room for rebuttal, "First pay off your debts and compensate for the 2 damaged paintings, then Keano Chamber of Commerce will welcome you. Until then, you are not welcome here." Liu Hu indeed had no money, so he could only swallow his anger and leave the inn. As he left, he shouted loudly, "All right. Keano Chamber of Commerce, I'll remember you. Just wait and see, I, Tiger Liu, will make you pay." The other 4 martial artists also followed Liu Hu and, before leaving, cast a resentful glance at Wu Dian and Liu Keano. "Boss Liu, is this the right thing to do? Liu Hu has connections with the underworld in Shangle City. We might be targeted by them in the future," one of them said. "It doesn't matter. Take care of the esteemed guests in front of us first," Liu Keano replied. The innkeeper understood and no longer worried about this or that. He believed in the boss's judgment. There were rumors that the boss came from the Liu family in the cultivation world and was not afraid of some local bullies. Wu Dian received the keys to the 5 rooms and handed them to the others except for Luo Li. Wu Dian smiled triumphantly and said, "Luo Li, there are only 5 rooms left. Please bear with it and find another inn to stay for 1 night. I'll cover the cost with some spirit stones." Luo Li's face didn't look good. Although she had expected to be targeted along the way, she still felt extremely angry when it happened so blatantly. The system's voice sounded, detected that the protagonist Luo Li is feeling angry. Rewarding mission points, 500. Accumulated villain points, 4,230. Mission, make the little maid Liu Keano understand that she has been abandoned. Reward, mastery of alchemy technique able to refine pills below the nascent soul stage. Liu Keano's words followed immediately. She turned to Liu Chuan and smiled as she spoke. "Everyone is esteemed guests from the Immortal Gate. How can I let you stay outside? I have many rooms at home. Please let one immortal stay in my humble abode for 1 night. This young master, would you honor me?" Liu Keano's voice was pleasant, charming, and elegant. But Liu Chuan was startled and his breathing slowed down. Had he been recognized? Various thoughts surged through Liu Chuan's mind. Just informed by the system that the current boss of the Chamber of Commerce was a former servant abandoned by the original owner, she suddenly struck up a conversation with him. A woman who had been abandoned, after working hard, achieved success in her career. After achieving fame and fortune, she sought revenge on the unfaithful man. Liu Chuan had seen many similar news events in his previous life on Blue Star. He had previously thought that if he had time, he would inquire in the secular world. If he could find her, he would bring back the pitiful abandoned servant. Consider it compensation for his previous beastly behavior, let Liu Keano suffer a little less. Anyway, he wasn't lacking in spirit stones now, and he could support 1 more person, even if it meant having her warm his bed in the winter. But now, not only did he meet her before he had the chance, but the system also issued a heaven-defying task, asking him to rub salt on her wounds. It's better to agree for now. Before leaving Shangle City tomorrow morning, there would surely be some time for the 2 of them to be alone. During their alone time, Liu Chuan would reveal the truth to her as a friend and tell her that she had been abandoned. Judging by her current appearance, it seemed unlikely that she would be willing to be his servant again. He gave up on the idea of finding Liu Keano. He had thought so much, but in reality, only a moment had passed. Liu Chuan said, "Since it's an invitation from Boss Liu, I won't refuse and gladly accept." Upon hearing this, Liu Keano's joy was evident, and her voice became cheerful. I dare not. How can I, a mortal woman, be called Boss Liu? It should be me who respects you as an immortal." A gentle smile appeared on Liu Keano's face, like a delicate flower blooming, complemented by her mature and elegant appearance, emitting a deep and captivating intellectual beauty. The waiter looked at Liu Keano in a daze for a moment. This was the boss of Keano Chamber of Commerce, the businesswoman Liu Keano, who was considered highly dangerous by many business tycoons. She wasn't the person he had in mind. In the Chamber of Commerce, Liu Keano had a strong and powerful image, with an attitude of neither humble nor arrogant towards anyone. Even cultivators and Keano Chamber of Commerce couldn't take advantage of her. The boss Liu Keano, who rarely smiled, now stood in front of him with a bright and brilliant smile. What was going on? As it's getting late, I'm sure you immortals haven't eaten yet. Let me treat you to some special dishes from Shangle City and have a good chat. Wu Dian, considering himself the leader among the Immortal Gate group, naturally wouldn't refuse the opportunity to dine with a beautiful woman, especially when she was the one treating. He quickly said, "Thank you, Miss Liu." To Wu Dian's surprise, when Liu Keano heard him call her Miss Liu, her smile disappeared completely. Liu Keano said to Wu Dian, "This guest should just call me boss. The only person who can call me that is the gentleman over there." There was a hint of coldness in her voice. After speaking, she looked at Liu Chuan, who had disguised himself as Mang Ching, and revealed a warm and gentle smile. Liu Chuan suddenly felt a chill as she stared at him, and he smiled back at Liu Keano. Seeing Mang Ching's reaction, Liu Keano's smile became even more pronounced. Her speculation in her heart was now even more certain. Wu Dian looked at Mang Ching, his mouth twisted in disdain. This Chamber of Commerce boss was ultimately immortal, wanting to climb up by relying on Mang Ching. Secular mortals always held longing and expectations for cultivators. They wanted to become the cultivation partner of a cultivator. As long as they dual cultivated, they could extend their lifespan. They wanted various elixirs that only cultivators could obtain. The face preservation pill could prevent changes in appearance, and the detoxification pill could eliminate the toxins accumulated in the body from eating, achieving a healthy and disease-free state. They wanted to be admired by other mortals for their cultivation. This Meng brother, apart from having a good-looking face and slightly stronger strength, where else could he compare to himself? It's possible that killing the desert scorpion was also done with some kind of spirit treasure, which he couldn't possibly do again. I regretted thinking that Liu Keano was someone important before. How wrong my judgment was. Liu Keano walked to the table in the hall and sat down. She said to the waiter, "Waiter, go call the chef and have him bring out the signature dishes of our inn for these esteemed guests to taste." The waiter didn't dare to neglect the order from the boss of Keano Trading Company and quickly said he understood before hurrying back to the kitchen to prepare dinner. As the moonlight grew stronger, many guests staying at the inn came downstairs to the hall to order their meals and get ready to eat. The several people from the Immortal Gate also sat down. The table could seat 2 people on one side, with a total capacity of 8 people. Su Lianlian didn't want to sit with the small group of Wu Dian and didn't want to sit with Meng Ching, who kept bothering her. So she decided to sit with Luo Li, who had fought the desert scorpion together with her. Although Liu Chuan had warned her that Luo Li was terrifying and a cunning man to stay away from, Su Lianlian didn't feel that he was formidable in any way after spending a day with him. She decided to observe him more closely. One fat and one thin, the 2 Wu brothers sat on one side, facing Liu Keano. They whispered to each other about the delicious food they had eaten in the secular world before embarking on the path of cultivation, looking forward to what kind of dishes they would be able to eat later. Wu Dian naturally didn't stand on ceremony and sat directly next to Liu Keano. He wanted to prove himself. He didn't believe that he was inferior to Meng Ching, who was unremarkable in terms of male charm at the Immortal Gate. Besides, Su Lianlian was also present. Meng Ching must still have feelings for Su Lianlian and wouldn't be interested in Liu Keano. Liu Chuan sat alone opposite Su Lianlian and Luo Li, closing his eyes pretending to cultivate. Out of everyone's expectations, Liu Keano stood up under everyone's gaze and walked slowly to sit next to Meng Ching. Liu Chuan felt someone sitting next to him, and when he opened his eyes, he saw Liu Keano's sweet smile, feeling a bit at a loss. Seeing Liu Chuan's expression, Liu Keano's smile faded, replaced by a faint teardrop in the corner of her eye. In a trembling voice, she said, "I feel that the gentleman and I are destined to meet. I would like to sit beside him for easier communication. Would the gentleman be unwilling?" Her lips trembled slightly as Liu Keano looked up at Mang Ching, her eyes revealing a hint of confusion and helplessness. She appeared pitiful and vulnerable, far from the strong businesswoman who dominated the market. She was clearly an adorable and lovable woman. Liu Keano could burst into tears at any moment. Unable to bear seeing a woman cry, Liu Chuan said, "As you wish." With that, Liu Chuan continued to close his eyes and pretend to cultivate. Liu Keano also regained her smile. It seems that in the past 6 months, young Master Liu Chuan has changed a lot. He has become much gentler than before, which is a great improvement. Did something significant happen during his cultivation at Immortal Gate? The waiter brought out several dishes from the kitchen. Upon hearing the boss's arrival, the kitchen immediately followed orders, preparing the dishes with utmost care. They used the best ingredients and spent the least amount of time cooking. As long as they left a good impression on Mr. Liu, they might be able to climb the ladder of success in the future. Liu Keano said, "You don't have to be polite, the chef can cook whatever you like." Forgetting to ask their purpose for this trip, she continued, "How long will you be staying in Shangle City?" Wu Dian hurriedly replied, "We came to Wu Country to search for someone in Azure Rock Town. We are just passing through Shangle City and will leave early tomorrow morning." Liu Keano nodded and continued, "Actually, I can be considered a disciple of Immortal Gate. I have a name registered in the outer sect, so you can all be considered my senior brothers and sisters." As she spoke, she stole a glance at Liu Chuan, wanting to see his reaction. "I have an acquaintance at Immortal Gate named Liu Chuan. Have any of you senior brothers and sisters heard of him?" Chapter 31. Su Lianlian and Luo Li were both surprised to hear the name Liu Chuan from Liu Keano's mouth. Both of them looked at Liu Keano at the same time, wanting to know the relationship between the current president of the Chamber of Commerce, Liu Keano, and Liu Chuan. Liu Chuan held his breath and became nervous. She finally mentioned herself. Liu Chuan, who is now well known in the Immortal Gate, eagerly answered. "Liu Chuan, is he the senior brother of the sect's head disciple?" "Yes. Do you know how he's been doing in the Immortal Gate recently?" Wu Dian shook his head, "I'm not sure. He mostly keeps to himself, and we don't have much interaction with him." Suddenly, he remembered that Sima Dong had mentioned to him before that Liu Chuan often went to find Luo Li. Pointing to Luo Li, Wu Dian added, "But Luo Li is often with him. You can ask him." Liu Keano looked at Luo Li. She thought that Luo Li might be a good friend of young Master Liu Chuan, and smiled as she asked, "Young man, can you tell me about Liu Chuan? And how do you see him?" Luo Li was a little at a loss. Liu Chuan, disguised as Mang Ching, looked at Luo Li. He also wanted to know how Luo Li saw him. Su Lianlian also turned her head to look at the handsome and delicate man next to her, the person whom Liu Chuan had mentioned several times and made her more cautious of. She wanted to know what he thought of Liu Chuan. Luo Li lowered his head and pondered for a moment before speaking. "Senior brother Liu Chuan is a good person. After all, he was a man respected by their master. We often practice together, and he would tirelessly teach me where I fall short in my cultivation, hoping that I can improve. Although he has never won in swordsmanship and Dao techniques, and senior brother Liu Chuan often mocks him in words, he doesn't actually dislike him deep down. Whenever there is a mistake in their sparring, he would point it out in time. When he has doubts and difficulties in cultivating Dao techniques in the Immortal Gate, he would ask their master, who would simply tell him to figure it out himself. But senior brother Liu Chuan would explain every word to him after their sparring. I think senior brother Liu Chuan is like my second master." Luo Li became more enthusiastic as he spoke. "Actually, he is quite famous in the Immortal Gate." Luo Li recounted how Liu Chuan defeated Sima Dong in the Inner Disciples competition, avenging him, and how he comprehended the Dao rhyme of the ancestor in the sacred land of the sect, which caused a sensation. As he spoke, the corners of Luo Li's mouth unconsciously lifted, as if he was talking about his own proud achievements rather than someone else's. Su Lianlian listened with great interest. As the dishes were served, Wu Dian and his 2 subordinates devoured the fish and meat on the table. While eating, they interjected and added some details, such as how rare the celestial phenomena were when the ancestor manifested his power. Liu Keano listened with relish, her emotions changing along with Luo Li's words. Sometimes she nodded and smiled, and sometimes she opened her cherry-like mouth in surprise. Luo Li finished speaking. That's all I know about senior brother Lu Chuan. Liu Keano had thoroughly enjoyed listening and thanked Luo Li, saying, "Thank you, young man. I've learned a lot of interesting things." After saying that, Liu Keano turned to Lu Chuan and asked, "Young man, what about you? Do you know Lu Chuan?" Caught off guard by Liu Keano's question, Lu Chuan panicked for a moment. "Young man, what's wrong with you?" "It's nothing," Lu Chuan replied anxiously. Seeing Lu Chuan's flustered appearance, Liu Keano smiled meaningfully. As they continued talking, the other guests gradually left, and the food on the table was almost finished. The full moon hung high in the sky, shining brightly with few stars. "All right, we've almost finished eating. Do you immortals want anything else?" Cultivators have little need for food. They have been fasting since the foundation building stage, and besides, everyone present had pills that could satisfy their hunger. The food they had at Qianzhou Inn was not a necessity, but merely to satisfy their appetites. Everyone thanked Liu Keano and said they were full and didn't need anything else. Liu Keano stood up and said, "All right, then, immortals, I'll take my leave first. I wish you all a wonderful experience at this inn." The people from the Immortal Gate also got up and went to their rooms, leaving only Lu Chuan sitting at the dining table. The waiter was instructed by Liu Keano to clean up after she left, so only Lu Chuan and Liu Keano were left in the hall. "Why are you still sitting? Come, go home with me." Liu Keano reached out her hand to Lu Chuan, wanting him to hold her hand and stand up. Lu Chuan didn't appreciate it and pretended not to see, standing up on his own. "Ms. Liu, let's go." At this moment, Lu Chuan was prepared to confess his identity to Liu Keano and to explain the truth, even if it would make her explode. But Lu Chuan wasn't afraid. After all, she was just a little girl who hadn't even reached the qi refining stage. He didn't believe she could harm him. Liu Keano and Lu Chuan walked together on the streets of Shangle City. Liu Keano led the way in front, always a few steps ahead of Lu Chuan. Since leaving Qianzhou Inn, Liu Keano hadn't said a word, walking in silence ahead of Lu Chuan. Clearly, she had asked so many questions about herself during dinner, wanting to know more about her recent situation. As long as she spoke, he would have the opportunity to tell her the truth and take advantage of it to complete the system's mission. But if she remained silent, Lu Chuan himself wouldn't know how to start the conversation. The sky was covered by thick clouds, with only a few stars shining lonely in the darkness. The stars in the sky emitted a faint light, while Shangle City was illuminated by countless lanterns, shining brightly. Although there were fewer people than in the afternoon, there were still many people strolling in the bustling city, laughing and enjoying the liveliness of the streets. The two of them walked in silence for 20 minutes and finally arrived at Liu Keano's residence in the north of Shangle City. The residence was still located in the city center, but this area was mostly residential, making it relatively quiet. Pushing open the gate, Liu Keano turned to Lu Chuan and smiled, saying, "Mr. Mang Ching, this is my humble abode. Please don't find it distasteful." The courtyard-style residence covered an area of 500 to 600 square meters. The reception hall was magnificent, with various exquisite wood carvings and stone sculptures placed on the table. A pearl hung high above the roof, and sandalwood tables and chairs were arranged in the center of the hall, displaying luxury without losing elegance. This luxurious mansion in the city center must cost several million spirit stones. No, considering these decorations and renovation costs, it might even be over 1 billion spirit stones. Calculating the cost of a house upon seeing it was a bad habit Lu Chuan had from his previous life. In his previous life on Blue Star, he had carefully calculated that ordinary people would have to work for at least several decades to afford a house in a second-tier city. This young and beautiful girl, Liu Keano, actually bought a courtyard in the city center of Shangle City. She was truly wealthy. The Liu family was also quite wealthy. Perhaps he could fulfill the dreams he hadn't accomplished in his previous life with the help of the family. Just kidding. The Liu family had many members, complicated relationships, and family conflicts were too troublesome. It was more convenient to refine pills and sell them for money than to ask the family for money. Lu Chuan replied, "There's no such thing as finding it distasteful. This place is much better than the inn. Thank you for your generosity, Boss Liu. You really know how to flatter." The guest rooms are over there, and the bathroom is to the west. I just remembered that I have something to do. See you later. You're busy, Boss Liu. Seeing Liu Keano return to the main room, Liu Chuan went to the guest room. Liu Keano said they would meet later, so he would complete the mission when they met again. The room had the same decoration style as the reception hall, with a large bed placed in the middle. Sitting on the bed, Liu Chuan felt surprised. This bed is too soft. It couldn't compare to the bed at the sect master peak. It must have cost a fortune. The little maid had truly become a big boss. Lying on the soft bed, Liu Chuan began to think about how to complete the mission without angering Liu Keano when they met later. Because the original work did not specifically describe the details. But Liu Chuan still remembers how she abandoned Liu Keano in the past and what she said when she entered the secular world. Basically, it was said that Liu Keano did not have the talent for cultivation, and joining the Immortal Gate was embarrassing for herself. She was left to fend for herself in the secular world. But Liu Keano misinterpreted her intentions at the time. Otherwise, the system wouldn't have triggered the task of making Liu Keano realize that she had been abandoned. It was late at night, and Liu Chuan waited in the hall for Liu Keano for half an hour, but she didn't show up. But the main room was still lit, and it was obvious that Liu Keano was not asleep. Is she still busy with the affairs of the Chamber of Commerce? The optimal time to complete the task is tomorrow morning, when they will meet with the members of the Keano Inn and the Immortal Gate. She just said she would see me later, she couldn't have forgotten already, right? The evening breeze brought a hint of restlessness. Liu Chuan remembered that Liu Keano had mentioned that there was a bathroom in the residence and she was going to take a bath. The hot spring-style bathroom was spacious. Liu Chuan soaked in the bath alone, enjoying the comfortable feeling of the warm water moisturizing his body. Even in the cultivation world, Liu Chuan could feel the same sensation as soaking in a hot spring on Blue Star, which he found quite strange. The atmosphere of Shangle City, or perhaps the atmosphere of an ordinary city, felt similar to that of Blue Star. If everything settles down and he successfully leaves the Immortal Gate, it wouldn't be bad to find a place to settle in an ordinary city. Suddenly, the surrounding lights went out, and the door to the bathroom opened. Young master, I haven't bathed yet. Shall we do it together? Boss Liu, what are you doing? Liu Chuan panicked. Before Liu Chuan could refuse, Liu Keano walked straight into the bath and sat face to face with Liu Chuan. Liu Chuan heard the sound of something being poured into the water. The dark clouds outside receded, revealing the round moon in the sky. The stars no longer seemed lonely, and the bathroom was illuminated to some extent. As a cultivator, Liu Chuan could see the beauty in front of him clearly in the dim light. Although she was wrapped in a large bath towel, covering the important parts, she still looked very attractive overall. Liu Chuan wanted to divert attention by speaking. Boss Liu, what are you doing? Liu Keano stared at Liu Chuan, their eyes meeting. Steam filled the bathroom, moistening Liu Keano's beautiful long hair, and crystal clear water droplets dripped from her delicate and smooth shoulders. A blush appeared on her delicate and charming cheeks. There can't be anyone else here. It's just the two of us in the entire residence. Liu Keano raised her arm and gently touched Liu Chuan's face with one hand. The water surface was no longer calm, and the smooth and tender hand felt slightly warmer than the temperature of the bath. Do you really like this face, young master Liu Chuan? Boss Liu, what do you mean by this? Liu Chuan's heart pounded violently. Young master, we grew up together. Even if you changed your face, I can't mistake your scent. It's possible to identify someone through their scent. Liu Keano's hand touched Liu Chuan. Young master, it's just the two of us here. Can you restore your true appearance? Liu Chuan awkwardly laughed and released his disguise. Seeing the familiar Liu Chuan, a smile bloomed on Liu Keano's face. She vigorously rubbed Liu Chuan's face with both hands. Indeed, it's young master. Still calling me Boss Liu, it seems like you've been separated from me for too long and need some discipline. Do you have something to say to me? Liu Chuan's heart was in a panic. Why aren't you speaking? Why haven't you written me a single letter in the past 6 months? An unexpected question. Liu Chuan maintained his composure and replied, in the past 6 months, many things have happened at Immortal Gate. I've been busy with current matters and didn't have time to write. I apologize, Keano. Qiancho, are you calling me? Why don't you call me Sister Chu anymore? It seems like you really need some discipline. Liu Keano reached her hands to the top of Liu Chuan's head and ruffled his hair. Sister Chu, Sister Chu. That's just Liu Qiancho's personality. She was bought by the Liu family when she was young to accompany Liu Chuan. She took care of Liu Chuan like an adult since they were young. Although Liu Chuan and Liu Qiancho had a master-servant relationship, they grew up together. Before Liu Chuan entered Immortal Gate, they were together every day, and their relationship was like siblings. After all, when he was a child, he didn't have any emotions like a beast. He was just like an ordinary child, calling Liu Qiancho, who took care of him everywhere, Sister Chu. But as they grew up, Liu Qiancho still managed everything, supervising Liu Chuan's cultivation and meddling in big and small matters. When he couldn't stand it anymore, he let Liu Qiancho go to the mortal world on her own. So you still know how to call me sister. This is how you treat your sister, not even taking the time to write me a letter. Liu Qiancho's movements stopped, and she gently stroked Liu Chuan's forehead like a sister. She softly said, I've been thinking about you all the time, worrying about you, my dear sister. In the past 6 months, I often wondered if young master was eating well, resting on time, and practicing diligently. I heard about you during dinner at Qiancho Inn, and I was really happy. Young master has become an extraordinary person, making friends at Immortal Gate, standing up for friends, and getting along well with them. That boy named Luo Li speaks highly of you. As she spoke, Liu Qiancho's voice became choked up. I'm also working hard. How is Qiancho Trading Company doing? It's currently the largest franchise in the Eastern continent and has a certain reputation among the cultivation sects. Isn't sister amazing? Liu Qiancho's body trembled, her eyes moist. She truly felt relieved by Liu Chuan's changes. Liu Chuan replied, Sister Chu is amazing. Seeing that Liu Chuan didn't talk much to her, Liu Qiancho thought that Liu Chuan was worried about not actively acknowledging her and being scolded by her, so she adjusted her mood. Liu Qiancho smiled and said, Young master, you're acting with someone else's appearance, so you must have sufficient reasons. You're going to Azure Rock Town to complete a sect mission, right? Be careful on the way. I'll be relieved as long as I see that young master is safe. Alright, it's already late, time to sleep. I'm satisfied just to see young master once. When young master needs me, I won't have to worry about the affairs of the trading company. People from the Liu family will take care of it. Sister will definitely return to young master's side as soon as possible. Liu Qiancho pressed the towel against her body and stood up, preparing to leave the bathroom. The calm water surface ripples, just like Liu Chuan's inner thoughts. Liu Chuan doesn't dislike his sister who always thinks of him. In his past life, he wanted a sister like her. He doesn't want to make Liu Qiancho sad, but the reward for the mission is very generous. Liu Chuan has made up his mind. He stands up and grabs Liu Qiancho's hand, saying seriously, Chu sister, I have something to tell you. Being suddenly grabbed, Liu Qiancho's body trembles slightly, and she turns around to see a serious Liu Chuan. The last time she saw Liu Chuan with this expression was half a year ago when he asked her to go to the mortal world to try business. The words he said at that time were a hurdle that Liu Qiancho didn't want to face. Thinking of the bad memories, Liu Keano dares not look at Liu Chuan anymore. She lowers her head and looks at the rippling water surface. Master, let's talk about it next time, it's already late today. Liu Keano tries to free herself from Liu Chuan's hand. As Liu Chuan expected, an ordinary woman without even reaching the qi refining stage has no ability to resist against his foundation building late-stage cultivation. I want you to listen to me. Is it the continuation of what you said half a year ago? Yes, Liu Chuan nods. I don't want to listen. Chu sister, actually, half a year ago, the things I said, I wanted to distance myself from you. Before Liu Chuan finishes speaking, the voice of the system appears. Mission completed. Liu Keano understands that she has been abandoned. Reward. Alchemy technique upgraded to intermediate level, can refine pills up to the nascent soul stage. Liu Keano doesn't want to listen to Liu Chuan saying those things. Suddenly, she squats down, her whole body submerged in the water, leaving only one hand holding Liu Chuan's. The suffocating feeling of not being able to breathe makes Liu Keano particularly clear-headed. In fact, she knew long ago that she was just deceiving herself in the past half-year. After leaving the Liu family and entering the Wan Immortal Gate, young Master Liu Chuan suddenly told her that she didn't have the talent for cultivation and even specifically mentioned her talent for business. The Liu family lacked a child who could do business. He didn't want her to stay in the Wan Immortal Gate, wasting her talent by his side. In other words, young Master Liu Chuan disliked her. Qianqiu was just a servant girl bought to be a maid. Being abandoned by the master is a common occurrence in the cultivation world. But she didn't want to accept reality. She just treated young Master Liu Chuan as expecting her to achieve success in business. She devoted herself wholeheartedly to the Chamber of Commerce and established the Qianqiu Chamber of Commerce. She didn't receive a single letter in half a year, which was evidence of her being abandoned. If her relationship with young Master was still good, she could have written letters to greet him or even personally go to the Wan Immortal Gate to find him. But she didn't dare, afraid that young Master would say she was an unrelated person. Meeting young Master unexpectedly like this, she is both afraid and pleasantly surprised. She is afraid that he will mention those words from half a year ago and explain what he meant at that time. Hearing about Liu Chuan from the people of the Wan Immortal Gate, she could feel that young Master has changed. Being able to see the long-missed young Master again is already enough for her. Rather than hearing it from young Master Liu Chuan himself that they have no relationship, it's better to die in contentment. Liu Chuan was startled by this sudden move and quickly pulled Liu Qianqiu out of the water. Liu Qianqiu's black hair was wet from the water, hanging on her shoulders. Her pitiful eyes were like a homeless kitten, showing no trace of a strong woman. Liu Qianqiu had always seen herself as an older sister in front of Liu Chuan, not wanting to be seen in such a vulnerable and disheveled state. She tilted her head to the side. "Young Master, let go of me." "I won't let go." Liu Chuan used his hand to straighten Liu Qianqiu's face, staring at her. Their eyes met. "Sister Chu, what do you want to do?" Liu Chuan's words were filled with anger. In Liu Chuan's eyes, Liu Qianqiu's previous actions were a cry for death. He had thought about what Liu Qianqiu's reaction would be after confronting her. Whether she would scold herself or ignore him, or even go to the Liu family to complain. He never expected that Liu Keano would be so extreme, actually begging for death. Liu Keano felt relieved when she saw Liu Chuan angry for her, but then she realized that the young master wanted to distance himself from her. The feelings they had built up over more than 10 years had turned into nothing, and her heart ached like being pricked by needles. Liu Keano made up her mind and answered Liu Chuan with a mature and calm tone, as if she were dealing with a business partner. But in reality, she was using a crying tone. She cried out, "What does it have to do with you? I understand everything you think in your heart. You're just tired of me and want to abandon me, I understand. We have nothing between us now, so why do you care about what I do?" Tears kept falling. Liu Keano pounded Liu Chuan's chest with her fist. Seeing Liu Keano, who had become a tearful mess, Liu Chuan felt a pang of pain in his heart. He grabbed Liu Qianqiu's hand and said firmly, "I regret it, I want to take back what I said before." "What do you mean? I've thought it through in the past 6 months. Sister Chu, you have always been like family to me. I was just confused at that time. Please forgive me." Hearing Liu Chuan's apology, Liu Keano felt the void in her heart being filled, and her tears finally stopped. "Are you being sincere?" "I absolutely am." Liu Qianqiu's mood calmed down, and she immediately noticed the ambiguous position they were in. Their bodies were pressed together, with only a towel separating them. They were practically embracing each other, and Liu Chuan's hand was firmly holding hers. In their previous interactions, Liu Chuan and Liu Keano had always maintained a distance. There was hardly any physical contact, and such an intimate gesture had never happened before. It seemed that the young master today was different from before. It seemed that a lot had happened to him in the past 6 months. The young master had grown up, no longer the little brother who couldn't do anything and could only rely on her help. Under Liu Chuan's scorching gaze, a blush appeared on Liu Qianqiu's face, and her heart beat violently. Was she developing feelings for Liu Chuan like this? It's not just a matter of family affection for Liu Chuan now. Liu Keano slowly spoke, "If you want me to forgive you, you have to pay the corresponding price." "What price?" "As long as it's something I can give, Sister Chocho can take it." Suddenly, Liu Chuan felt a soft touch on his lips. Liu Keano's eyes were still moist, but a happy smile appeared on her face. She suddenly leaned closer to Liu Chuan and whispered in his ear, "This is the price. Let's make up, young master." His sensitive ears were stimulated, and he felt a soft and warm sensation on his chest. Even as a highly skilled expert at the foundation building late stage, Liu Chuan couldn't control himself. Liu Keano felt Liu Chuan's reaction and smiled while maintaining her posture. "Young master has grown up. Stop it. It's cute when you're shy. Let's sleep together tonight." Liu Chuan swallowed his saliva, steadied his emotions, and said with a trembling voice, "I've always regarded you as a sister. Isn't this inappropriate?" Liu Keano chuckled, "You're thinking too much. I just wanted to talk to young master. I haven't had anyone to talk to in the past 6 months, all because of young master." It was late at night, past midnight, and Shangle City quieted down from the hustle and bustle. Liu Chuan and Liu Keano slept in the guest room, both maintaining silence without prior arrangement. The only sound in the room was the chirping of crickets. Liu Keano had acted impulsively earlier when her mind was heated. She had become too happy and lost herself for a moment. Of course, she didn't expect Liu Chuan to agree. So, what did young master think of her? It was unlikely that he only saw her as a sister. Because in the bathroom, he clearly became excited. But she was ultimately a servant and couldn't have such thoughts about young master. The more she thought about it, the more agitated she felt. Liu Keano felt that she couldn't continue thinking about it. "Young master, are you tired? Shall we sleep?" "Not yet." Sister Chocho had something to say. "I'm listening." The energy of cultivators was much stronger than that of ordinary people. After reaching the foundation building stage, they didn't need to sleep for 1 or 2 months. Moreover, sleeping together with a mature and well-proportioned lady, he had carefully felt it in the bathroom earlier, and now his emotions were complicated. Liu Chuan silently repeated in his heart, "Liu Keano is just a sister, Liu Keano is a sister." Liu Keano looked at Liu Chuan's profile lying beside her and felt it was unbelievable. Half a year ago, when she came out of the Immortal Gate, she had a premonition that young master might want to distance himself from her, but he didn't want to say it so harshly. He just casually mentioned not wanting her business talent to go to waste. Today, when she met the young master who had disguised himself as someone else, he emphasized the meaning of what he said half a year ago. At that time, she was disheartened, but now she was sleeping with him in the same bed. Young master had really changed a lot. The more she looked at young master, the more she liked him. "Young master, do you remember what happened when we first met?" Liu Keano murmured. Liu Chuan recalled his memories of Liu Keano, all of which were lectures and criticisms. It was no wonder that the previous incarnation of himself, before awakening his past life's memories, chose to drive Liu Keano away after leaving the Liu family. As he reviewed these memories, Liu Chuan felt a warm feeling. Having a sister by his side should feel like this. His restless heart calmed down. Liu Chuan answered in a calm voice, "I don't remember." Liu Keano poked Liu Chuan's forehead with her finger and puffed up her cheeks. "I knew it. After all, young master is a carefree person. When we first met, I was 7 years old, and young master was 5. Liu Keano reminisced about the past, and the memories deeply hidden in Liu Chuan's heart began to resurface. Liu Keano has never seen her parents since she was young. Her earliest memory of the world was in a brothel. In the cultivation world, a brothel is not a vulgar place for men and women to engage in activities. Instead, it is an elegant place for cultural exchange. The women in the brothel are either skilled in music, chess, calligraphy, and painting, or they excel in writing and painting. In any case, they all have 1 or 2 skills that they can show off. When the guests are in a leisurely mood, they come to the brothel to chat and have fun with the women they admire. There are many young girls in the brothel. Some are abandoned girls who were picked up, while others were sold to the brothel. Every day, different middle-aged women teach various skills such as arithmetic, singing, dancing, calligraphy, and playing musical instruments. They are called teachers. If they do well, they will be praised. If they don't do well, they will be looked down upon. Liu Keano is not a perfect person, and there are definitely things she is not good at. In terms of arithmetic and classical literature questions and answers, Liu Keano is very insightful, far surpassing her peers. However, when it comes to singing, dancing, and playing musical instruments, she is completely unskilled and uninterested, so she performs poorly. Over time, the teachers who taught singing and dancing developed a bias against Liu Keano. When she was 5 years old, Liu Keano accidentally overheard a conversation among several teachers who taught singing and dancing. At that time, she was not called Liu Keano, but Xiaoqiu in the brothel. "Ah, I really can't teach that girl. She has no talent for dancing at all. I might have to give up on her. She is smart, she is excellent in arithmetic and classical literature questions and answers, but she can't earn much money with that. No one comes here to find a woman to settle accounts." "Are you talking about the child who was abandoned at the door of the brothel 3 years ago? She always seems uninterested, as if she is not interested in any of these things. I don't like her either." That day, Xiaoqiu cried for a long time. The words of the teachers lingered in her mind. She was an abandoned child, not liked by everyone. At night, she had a dream. Because of her poor performance, the brothel refused to support her, and she could only sleep on the streets and freeze to death in the cold wind. "No, please don't." Xiaoqiu woke up from the nightmare, feeling a sense of loneliness and death that made her shudder. "I don't want to be alone. I can do it well, so please don't abandon me." In a corner of the house where the children lived, Liu Keano sobbed and made up her mind. From that day on, she spent more time on singing, dancing, and playing musical instruments, while not neglecting arithmetic and classical literature questions and answers. She learned to smile at people and buried her true feelings deep in her heart. Among the group of children, Xiaoqiu excelled the most. She was the one most liked by the teachers and her peers, and she had the most talents. Xiaoqiu grew up in such an environment until she was 7 years old. When she was 7 years old, a member of the Liu family who had separated from the main branch noticed Xiaoqiu in the brothel. "Is she the most talented child among you?" The member of the Liu family looked at Xiaoqiu like she was a commodity, looking her up and down, making clicking sounds from time to time. "Her name is Xiaoqiu. How much does it cost?" "The young master of the Liu family is just 5 years old, I'll buy her to keep him company." At first, the brothel was unwilling to sell her, saying that Xiaoqiu was like a family member to them. Then, Xiaoqiu was taken to the main branch of the Liu family. There was no way, the amount of money he offered was too much. Money can make the devil turn the mill, let alone an unrelated child. But Xiaoqiu couldn't understand. Why did she do her best? Why did she change so much? And in the end, she was still abandoned by the teachers in the brothel and bought and sold like a commodity. "Are you my maid? Can you stop smiling? It's disgusting." This was the first thing Liu Chuan said to Xiaoqiu when he saw her. The perfect smile that the teachers in the brothel praised turned into a disgusting smile in the mouth of the little boy who was a head shorter than her. "I told you to stop smiling." The young master, who was meeting for the first time, spoke to Xiaoqiu in a reproachful tone. "Didn't your mother tell you not to force yourself to do things you don't want to do?" Xiaoqiu was frightened, her smile disappeared, and fear appeared on her face. I don't have a mother. How is it possible for someone to not have a mother? Don't lie to me. I haven't seen my parents since I was little, they abandoned me." When Liu Chuan was young, before he had any bad influences, he received a good education from his mother, and had not yet become a person with a bad personality. Little Liu Chuan could feel the sadness and loneliness of the girl in front of him, and he himself became emotionally down. I'm sorry." Liu Chuan remembered that he didn't know the girl's name. "What's your name?" "Xiaoqiu." "Who asked for your nickname? What's your real name?" "I only have this name." "Then let me give you a name. I'm good at naming cats and dogs." "How about, you be called Liu Keano?" "Liu Keano," Xiaoqiu murmured, not satisfied. "How could I be? I'm so happy that the young master gave me a name. The surname is the same as mine, Liu. Yesterday my mother taught me how to write the character, Qian. It's used to describe someone who looks good, which suits you perfectly. And the last character is, Chu. How about it? Do you like it?" "I like it." Having her own name and being praised by her master, the sisters in the brothel had told her that, good-looking, was a word used by people who appreciated beauty. To be appreciated by someone, especially by the seemingly fierce young master. The sisters in the brothel had only used her for their own purposes, but he was the first person to appreciate her. Liu Keano sincerely smiled. Isn't this something to laugh about? Remember, as Liu Chuan's servant, no one can force you to do things you don't like, except for me. Do you understand? I understand, Liu Keano softly said. Young Master Liu is really kind. Being called young master felt really good. Liu Chuan became a bit forgetful and grinned. HMPH, as long as you behave, it doesn't matter if you don't have a mother. I'll be your family. The word, family, was engraved in Liu Keano's heart from that moment on. Afterwards, when Liu Chuan's mother saw Liu Keano, she really liked this talented girl who was good at arithmetic and writing. She treated her like her own flesh and blood, as if she had recognized Liu Keano as her daughter. I've always hoped to have a daughter, Keano, you are so lovable. If in the future Xiaochuan can't find a wife, would you be willing to marry him? That way, you would also be my daughter. Mother, what nonsense are you talking about? Liu Chuan felt that a man should have lofty ambitions, conquer the world, and why would he want to get married? If his friends heard about it, they would laugh at him. What do you know? From now on, you will call her Keano, Sister Chu. Liu Chuan's mother turned her head. Keano, please take care of Xiaochuan's matters. If I'm not here, please take care of him a bit more. Treat him like a younger brother, okay? Okay. With Liu Chuan's mother stroking her head, Liu Keano nodded. At that time, both of them were still young and didn't think deeply about what Liu Chuan's mother said. Did she anticipate that something unexpected would happen to her after she was gone? Liu Keano spent the happiest time of her life during these years. She had a mother who loved her and a mischievous and adorable younger brother. Until the unexpected happened. Liu Chuan's mother had an accident when Liu Chuan was 11 years old and died on the way to a trip. Liu Chuan's personality changed drastically. Liu Chuan's mother also comes from a family of cultivation practitioners. Every year, she would go back to her parents' home with Liu Chuan's father. Before they set off that time, she had a long conversation with Liu Keano, all about Liu Chuan. Liu Keano agreed to everything. But the 11-year-old Liu Chuan had already started interacting with disciples from prominent families and had become somewhat rebellious. He had recently had a fight with his mother and didn't even come to see her off. It was a dark and windy night when the house steward suddenly woke up the sleeping Liu Chuan and Liu Keano. Young master, Keano, wake up. Something bad has happened. The steward rushed over as soon as he received the information, running all the way and panting as he shouted at the two. Liu Chuan, still groggy from sleep, grumbled, "Can't you tell me tomorrow? Don't you see what time it is? Master and Madam, they had an accident on their way back. Master is seriously injured, and Madam." The steward's words instantly sobered the two up. Liu Keano thought she had misheard and her tone rose as she asked the steward, "What did you say? Say it again." Master and Madam were ambushed on their way back. Master suffered serious injuries, and Madam was stabbed in the heart by a hidden sword. She's gone. Liu Chuan and Liu Keano stood frozen in place, unable to believe what they had just heard. The Liu family was a top cultivation family. How could they be ambushed so easily? This incident was too suspicious, but it involved various disputes of interest. The death of Liu Chuan's mother served as a reminder to the cultivation families not to be too ostentatious in the cultivation world. Fortunately, the head of the Liu family escaped unscathed. Liu Chuan's mother treated Liu Keano very well, like a real mother and daughter. Liu Keano also felt lost and depressed for a long time. Liu Chuan didn't show much sadness over his mother's death, and he even said that it was great that no one was there to control him anymore. But Liu Keano knew that Liu Chuan often had nightmares. He would dream of his mother, crying and apologizing to her alone at night, saying that he had done something wrong. Liu Keano would imitate the tone of the Liu family's madam and gently comfort the restless Liu Chuan. Regardless, she had to take care of Liu Chuan, her younger brother, on behalf of his mother. This was the first thing Liu Keano wanted to do well on her own. Gradually, Liu Chuan started to feel different to Liu Keano. There were many reasons for this. Liu Chuan started playing more frequently with those spoiled young masters, becoming arrogant and disrespectful. He even started using harsh words towards Liu Keano, the head of the Liu family, who was already busy with many matters and couldn't spare time to discipline his son, became even more doting towards Liu Chuan after experiencing the pain of losing his wife. He agreed to all of Liu Chuan's demands. Liu Chuan became like a stranger. Liu Keano continued to treat Liu Chuan well, taking care of him like a younger brother. Until half a year ago, the two of them left the Liu family and came to the Immortal Gate. When Liu Keano entered the Immortal Gate, she participated in the talent test. She didn't have the talent for cultivation and wasn't a good seedling. She could have entered the inner sect with the help of the Liu family's connections, but on that day, Liu Chuan said, "Liu Keano, you're not suitable for the Immortal Gate. You're good at arithmetic and business, which is more suitable for the mortal world. You should go." After that, Liu Keano ventured into the mortal world. Since young master Liu Chuan said she had talent, she wanted to prove it to him. Starting from small trading companies, she gradually expanded, and with the help of the Liu family's patriarch, who knew about her desire to do business, she bought and merged various small trading companies. She took a homonym of her name and named her company Keano Trading. Now, Liu Keano looked at Liu Chuan beside her and said, "Young master, the first time we met, you called me disgusting." Liu Chuan's face twitched. Seeing Liu Chuan's embarrassment, Liu Keano burst into laughter. "It's okay, I was really disgusted back then. At that time, I didn't want to do anything and wore a mask every day. In reality, I was in great pain inside." Liu Keano stared at Liu Chuan's black eyes, looking at his profile, and her love for him was about to overflow. "Master Liu Chuan, I'm actually troubled. There's something I want to tell you." "Is it about the guild?" "No, it's about this." Suddenly, Liu Keano kissed Liu Chuan's cheek. The prank was successful, and Liu Keano revealed a cute and cheerful smile. "I want to see Master become a powerful person, I want to be Master's support. Sister Chu, do you want to go back to Immortal Gate with me?" Liu Keano shook her head. "Just like what Master said half a year ago, I don't have the talent for cultivation. Even if I go, I can only do household chores for you. It's all trivial matters. It's better to do well in the mortal world and the guild. When Master needs me, I can be of use. Sister Chu, you're really good. When did your mouth become so sweet? I didn't taste it just now, let me taste it again." Liu Keano leaned towards Liu Chuan, their lips touching. Not long ago, Liu Keano, who had just given her first kiss, seemed to enjoy the feeling of kissing. It was tingling and numb, feeling like something was filling her chest. Master's breath was just a breath away, and when she opened her eyes, she saw his handsome face. Liu Keano indulged in pleasure, her breathing becoming rapid. They only separated after a long time. Unlike the breathless Liu Keano, Liu Chuan, as a cultivator, didn't need to catch his breath and appeared calm and composed. "You're so skilled, Master. Have you kissed other people before?" In an instant, Lin Qingshe and Su Lianlian's faces flashed through Liu Chuan's mind. Clearly, there were beautiful women around him, but he was thinking about other women. A sense of guilt and excitement surged in Liu Chuan's heart. "It seems like you've kissed before. Well, it's only natural for Master to be popular among girls." Liu Chuan heard a hint of grievance and dissatisfaction in Liu Keano's words. "Sister Chu, Master, there's no need to say more. I'm just your maid, I won't ask for so much." Liu Chuan didn't dislike it, and Liu Keano was very happy. "When Master gets married, I'll still be by your side." But, Master, you're a cultivator, and I'm just an ordinary person. When I grow old, you'll still be young. Will you abandon me?" "What are you thinking, Sister Chu? I won't let you go again." Liu Chuan reached out and embraced Liu Keano's soft body, thinking about refining pills that could prolong her lifespan for her to take. With Liu Chuan's promise, Liu Keano felt joy in her heart. "I'm no longer satisfied with being just Master's sister. What should I do?" Liu Keano hugged the little man in front of her and responded, her delicate hands exploring Liu Chuan's body. "I actually thought of a way to stay young forever. Would Master be willing to try it?" Liu Chuan nodded. Liu Keano's hand reached into Liu Chuan's pants, grabbing hold of the young master. "As long as Master shares some of his spiritual energy with me, it'll be enough." While touching Liu Chuan's body, she made various exclamations. Things like, "Little Chuan has grown up, sister really likes it." As they spoke, Liu Keano pressed her body against Liu Chuan's. The two entangled in Liu Keano's room. After all, Sister Chu is still a sister. The next morning, Liu Chuan and Liu Keano arrived at Keano in hand. The sun had just risen, and the people from the Immortal Gate who were resting at the inn had not yet woken up. Liu Chuan, who had already disguised himself as Mang Ching, sat in the hall with Liu Keano. Liu Keano looked at the unfamiliar face in front of her and reached out to pinch Liu Chuan's face. "Young master, do you really have to disguise yourself like this?" Liu Chuan could hear a hint of reluctance in her voice, allowing her delicate hand to pinch his face. "Well, Sister Chu doesn't like this face," Liu Keano said in a sweet voice. "It's not that I don't like it, it's just that it feels very different from the real appearance of young master Liu Chuan. We finally met after so long, and I don't know when we'll meet again next time. I want to look at you more." As she spoke, she even puffed up her cheeks, clearly acting spoiled towards Liu Chuan. After their reunion yesterday, the two of them made up and their relationship had progressed further. Everything happened too suddenly, and Liu Keano still had some fear in her heart, afraid that young master Liu Chuan was just comforting her, afraid that it was all just a dream. In the past 6 months when she wasn't by his side, young master had changed a lot. He seemed more mature and capable, able to stand on his own. Knowing that she was just a maid, Liu Keano didn't ask for much. She just wanted a promise, to know when he would come to see her next time. Seeing Liu Keano sulking, Liu Chuan quickly comforted her. "Sister Chu, I did make a mistake before, but I will write to you frequently in the future. When I have time, I will come and find you to play." "HMPH, that sounds nice, but who knows about you, young master? I won't always stay in Wu country. After the business association is established here, I will go to other countries." Liu Keano took out a special jade stone of emerald color from her storage ring and handed it to Liu Chuan. Slowly, she said, "Young master, you can keep this." The shape of this jade stone was very unique, with a protrusion on one side, which looked abrupt. The other sides were smooth and glossy, and there was a faint spiritual energy around it. It was obviously not an ordinary item. Taking the jade stone, Liu Chuan asked in confusion, "What kind of spirit treasure is this?" "This is an instant transmission stone." Liu Keano took out another instant transmission stone, which also had a special shape, but it was different from the protrusion on Liu Chuan's hand. The jade stone in her hand had a depression on one side. The depression and the protrusion fit together perfectly, forming a larger jade stone, or rather, they were originally one piece of jade stone. Liu Keano explained, "Young master, you know about voice transmission talismans, right? The instant transmission stone is similar to that in function, both can transmit text messages in a short period of time. As long as you hold the one in your hand and think of what you want to say to me in your heart, I will receive the message with the other one. This way, even if we are at the ends of the earth, we can still keep in touch. If young master wants to come find me, just let me know in advance, and I will tell you where I am." Liu Chuan nodded. This jade stone was like a telephone on Blue Star. He didn't expect that there would be such a spirit treasure in the cultivation world. Liu Keano gave herself the instant transmission stone because she wanted to chat with him frequently and alleviate her loneliness. "I will keep in touch with you often. When I have time, I will come find you," Liu Chuan said firmly, showing a strong sense of masculinity. Although the face was someone else's, Liu Keano knew that the person speaking was young master Liu Chuan. Liu Keano's heart beat violently, unable to suppress the smile on her lips. The exhaustion from the past 6 months in the business association had all disappeared, and she felt light and carefree. Just as Liu Keano was about to tightly embrace Liu Chuan and give him some rewards, a cough came from the hall. Cough, cough. Everyone from the Immortal Gate had gathered in the hall, ready to set off. Wu Dian saw Liu Chuan and Liu Keano sitting together, their bodies close to each other, and his good mood in the morning was ruined. He spoke to stop the two of them. "Mang Ching is ready to leave," Wu Dian joked. "Su Lianlian is still here, so you should restrain yourself." Su Lianlian had no good impression of Mang Ching. This person had been pestering her unilaterally. When she was mentioned, she didn't respond and calmly walked out of the inn. Luo Li glanced at Liu Chuan and saw him sitting so close to the beautiful Liu Keano. There was a hint of complexity in her heart for a moment, feeling like something familiar had been taken away by someone else. She followed Su Lianlian and left the inn. Seeing that everyone from the Immortal Gate was nearby, Liu Keano didn't say much. She could only remind him, "Mr. Mang, be careful on the road." Her voice regained its coldness, no longer the gentle and soft tone she used when talking alone with Liu Chuan. The gentle and caring older sister figure that Liu Keano had temporarily disappeared. The current Liu Keano was the boss of the Keano Business Association. Liu Keano's tenderness was only reserved for two people, one was Liu Chuan, and the other was Liu Chuan's deceased mother. Liu Chuan knew that Liu Keano was genuinely worried about him, and warmth rose in his heart as he tightly held Liu Keano's hand. "I know, don't worry." Two of Wu Dian's subordinates whistled and made a fuss when they saw this. The new waiter who had just come to replace them came out to check when he heard the noise in the hall. Liu Keano was well known in the Keano Business Association, and when the waiter saw Liu Keano sitting so close to a man, he couldn't believe his eyes. Rubbing his eyes, he saw an even more unbelievable scene. The man took the initiative to hold Liu Keano's hand, and Liu Keano had a shy expression with flushed cheeks. There was a rumor in the Keano Business Association that the boss, Liu Keano, was a lesbian and only liked women. Because no matter what kind of man pursued her, she showed no interest. Just from the suitors that the waiter knew about, there were cultivators, legitimate sons of prominent families, and charming actors. These were all outstanding young talents. Liu Keano didn't even bother to acknowledge them. Over time, rumors spread in the Keano Business Association that the boss hated men. But after today, this rumor no longer circulated. Instead, it was replaced by the news that Boss Liu already had a man in her life. In the city of Shangle, countless ambitious young men who had pursued Liu Keano in vain shed tears in the dead of night. But that's a story for later. After bidding farewell to Liu Keano, Liu Chuan left the inn and followed the main force of the Immortal Gate to the destination of this mission, Azure Rock Town. This was where the real danger lay, and unexpected events might occur. The original story that Liu Chuan knew was already different from reality. He couldn't afford to be careless, so Liu Chuan remained fully focused on the road, observing the surroundings. In the world of cultivation, cities as prosperous as Shangle were rare. Most towns were small settlements, with only the town center being slightly lively. They passed through several towns along the way, and Azure Rock Town, their destination, was the same. They traveled at full speed all morning, and when the sun reached its zenith, close to noon, they arrived near a large forest. "We're almost there. Take a look at the map and see which direction Azure Rock Town is in." Wu Dian commanded his two subordinates. The two subordinates took out the map and began studying it. According to the map, Azure Rock Town was built around a small mountain, and the villagers lived at the foot of the mountain. The name Azure Rock Town came from the small mountain, which was covered in blue stones. The two subordinates looked up to see which direction had a mountain nearby. Surrounded by forests, desolate and uninhabited, their line of sight was blocked by tall trees, and they could only see the mountain top to the north. They concluded that Azure Rock Town should be in the north and reported to their boss, Boss Wu, "Azure Rock Town should be in the north." Wu Dian clicked his tongue. "What do you mean, should be? If it's not in the north, we'll have made the trip for nothing. I'll make you regret it." After saying that, he walked quickly towards the north, with everyone following behind. Only Luo Li remained in place, his face serious. Liu Chuan, who had been observing the surroundings, noticed Luo Li's abnormality and asked, "What's wrong?" Luo Li reacted and said, "Ah, Senior Mang, it's nothing. It's just that I have a creepy feeling in this area, and I feel a chill in my body." "Ha ha ha, I'm sorry, I said something strange. Let's go quickly." Watching Luo Li's figure, Liu Chuan couldn't help but sigh. This was Son of Fortune's premonition of danger. Luo Li's feeling was warning him of the danger ahead and reminding him to be careful. This sect mission was far from being as simple as it seemed. It revealed the complexity of evil cultivators and the tip of the iceberg of a 1,000-year plan. Not far from the north of Wu Kingdom, some wooden houses appeared in front of the Immortal Gate group at Immortal Gate. Surrounded by tall trees, the small village in front of them only had dozens of households. Villagers were patrolling outside, becoming instantly alert when they saw something approaching the village at an extraordinary speed. They vigorously rang the large bell at hand and shouted, "Spirit beasts are attacking, the whole village is on high alert." The elderly and weak quickly hid in the cellar, while the able-bodied men armed themselves and ran to the village gate to defend against the spirit beasts. In recent years, the number of fierce spirit beasts in the forest has increased, and the frequency of attacks on the village has become more frequent. The Immortal Gate group were all cultivators and understood the situation clearly. Wu Dian's two subordinates looked around in panic. "Where are the spirit beasts? We just encountered a desert scorpion yesterday, why are we encountering spirit beasts in the forest today? Why are we so unlucky?" Wu Dian shook his head and reprimanded his two subordinates, "Calm down, there are no spirit beasts nearby." When he said spirit beasts, he was referring to us. The two subordinates listened and calmed down. They expressed their admiration to Wu Dian one after another, "So that's how it is. No wonder Wu Dian is the boss. His brain is really sharp." Liu Keano also agreed with what Wu Dian said in his heart. Since leaving Shangle City, he had intentionally extended his spiritual awareness to investigate the surrounding situation. There was no trace of spirit beasts nearby. It was because the speed of the Immortal Gate group far exceeded that of ordinary people. In the eyes of these villagers, the only creatures in the forest that could run so fast were spirit beasts with similar cultivation. "Let's slow down, and once those people see clearly, the misunderstanding will be resolved," Wu Dian commanded. The Immortal Gate group slowed down, and the villager responsible for scouting saw that the people rushing towards the village were humans, immediately turned around and ran to report to a strong middle-aged man, "Village chief, it's not spirit beasts coming, but humans." Upon hearing this, the village chief breathed a sigh of relief, but at the same time, he was puzzled. What kind of people can run as fast as spirit beasts? Why did they come to the village? In less than 5 minutes, Liu Keano and his group arrived at the village gate. Dozens of young people stood at the village gate, holding spears and bows and arrows. A middle-aged man stepped forward to negotiate. "I am the village chief of this village. What brings you all here?" "We are disciples of the Immortal Gate sent by the Immortal Gate to search for our missing fellow disciples in Azure Rock Town." Wu Dian, considering himself the team leader, answered the village chief's question and held the Immortal Gate token in his hand. "So you are immortals from the Immortal Gate. Please forgive my disrespect earlier," the village chief quickly apologized, "but you have come to the wrong place. This is not Azure Rock Town." "Not Azure Rock Town." Wu Dian was puzzled and smiled at his two subordinates behind him. The two subordinates, afraid of being blamed by Wu Dian, quickly shook their heads and tried to distance themselves, explaining, "The map says Azure Rock Town is to the north." The village chief intervened. "Azure Rock Town is indeed nearby, but I am not sure of the specific direction or distance. Someone from the village moved here half a year ago. Immortals, please wait a moment, I will call her." After a while, a middle-aged woman named Qihan walked out of the village. Qihan's face was haggard. Although her features were delicate, her messy hair hung loosely, giving her a disheveled appearance. Her eyes were bloodshot, devoid of light, revealing a hint of exhaustion and despair. The village chief took some time to explain the situation to Qihan, telling her that the purpose of the Immortals' visit was Azure Rock Town, and asked her to show them the way. When she heard the 3 words, Azure Rock Town, Qihan suddenly shuddered. She spoke slowly, trembling with every word. "Azure Rock Town is to the north, about 20 miles to the north." Recalling the painful memories of Azure Rock Town, tears uncontrollably streamed down Qihan's face. In a hoarse voice, she shouted, "Why do you want to go to that ominous place? Why do you make me remember that heartbreaking place?" After informing them of the location of Azure Rock Town, Qihan wanted to say something more, but was pulled away by the village chief. The village chief, with an apologetic expression, apologized to the Immortal Gate group. "Immortals, please forgive her rudeness. Azure Rock Town is indeed a place full of sad memories for her." The village chief began to explain the past of the middle-aged woman, hoping to gain the understanding of the immortals in front of him. Cultivators possessed extraordinary strength, and some of them were capricious, not caring about the lives of mortals. If the Immortal Gate group were provoked, it might endanger the entire village. Our village has been living in this forest for generations, relying on gathering fruits and hunting for a living. Half a year ago, one of the villagers responsible for hunting encountered her in the forest when she was in a trance. At that time, she couldn't even speak and took several days to recover. She told us that she was seeking death in the forest. Her daughter died tragically in the mayor's house, and her husband has been missing for half a month. People sent to search only found some blood-stained cloth, most likely indicating an accident. Experiencing the pain of losing both her daughter and husband in a short period of time, Kui Han couldn't accept it. She had no will to live and only wanted to seek death. For the past 6 months, we have managed to stabilize her emotions and prevent her from doing anything extreme. Upon hearing this, the Immortal Gate members fell into silence. The task issued by the sect is to search for the missing disciple in Azure Rock Town. The missing disciple was sent to fulfill the mayor's commission, but there has been no news since arriving in Azure Rock Town. Coupled with the fact that the middle-aged woman's daughter died in the mayor's house, it is indeed very suspicious. Several people felt that the mayor was suspicious and decided to investigate his house after arriving in Azure Rock Town. Wu Dian spoke up, "Thank you, village chief and that woman, for your help. We cannot delay any longer. We will depart for Azure Rock Town now." After bidding farewell to the village chief, the group set off on their journey again. After traveling 20 miles, the tall trees became sparse, and a hill of 200 to 300 meters appeared ahead. At the foot of the mountain was a lush green field, planted with various crops. The town was built around the mountainside, with thousands of houses scattered about, and the mayor had a large number of people. Smoke rose from the chimneys of the houses. The rising smoke drifted into the surrounding forest. Wu Dian spoke, "We are almost at Azure Rock Town. Let's split into 2 teams. Su Lianlian, Luo Li, and Mang Ching will be one team, and the 3 of us will be the other. Report any information about the missing disciple to me, and we will stay in touch using voice transmission talismans." Wu Dian took out 3 voice transmission talismans and handed them to Lu Chuan and the others. Su Lianlian didn't take it seriously. The task stated that there would be additional rewards for finding clues, so Wu Dian just wanted to get more benefits by having them report to him. Who would be so foolish? Luo Li also understood this and casually put the voice transmission talisman into her storage ring. Wu Dian led the group away, leaving Lu Chuan and the others behind. Luo Li asked, "Senior brother Mang, senior sister Su, where should we start looking?" "Let's start by conducting a surprise inspection at the mayor's house," Su Lianlian replied. After encountering the middle-aged woman earlier, she felt that the mayor was suspicious. Lu Chuan nodded in agreement. The 3 of them arrived at the gathering place of houses on the mountainside, which was the main area of Azure Rock Town. Luo Li planned to ask someone about the location of the mayor's house, while Lu Chuan and Su Lianlian stayed in place. Su Lianlian was considering the possibility of the missing disciple being hidden in the mayor's house. Lu Chuan, on the other hand, furrowed his brows, pondering what exactly Azure Rock Town was all about. Azure Rock Town gave Lu Chuan a gloomy and terrifying feeling. Su Lianlian and Luo Li, whose cultivation levels were not high enough, couldn't sense it. But he could feel that the residents in front of him had spiritual energy flowing within them. Anyone who could cultivate spiritual energy to improve the quality of their essence and spirit could be called a cultivator. However, the spiritual energy within these residents was chaotic and erratic, surging through their meridians as if trying to tear them apart and break free. The spiritual energy of cultivators is formed by absorbing the essence of heaven and earth and transforming it in their dantian. But the spiritual energy within these people was obtained by exchanging their lifespan, transforming their essence and spirit into spiritual energy. It was a complete reversal. The spiritual energy that should have nourished their essence and spirit had become a product that consumed their essence and spirit. These residents were practicing an evil cultivation method and could already be called evil cultivators. Indeed, Azure Rock Town was not simple. The enemy was hidden in the dark, while Lu Chuan was in the light. He had to act cautiously. After all, he didn't know the cultivation level of the powerful evil cultivator hiding in the mountains. The mayor's house is still up there, and the largest building in the town, which can be recognized at a glance. Luo Li asked about the road and came back to inform the 2. Mang senior brother, Su senior sister, let's go. The 3 of them walked towards the mayor's house. It was already afternoon, and the town became lively. Various shops lit up their signs, and the shopkeepers shouted. Young men and women walked hand in hand on the streets, while elderly people sat by the street playing chess and chatting, appearing very harmonious. Liu Keano stood out from the warm surroundings. He clenched his fists, frowned, and felt anger in his heart. Along the way, regardless of age or gender, everyone had spiritual energy in their bodies, which was chaotic and uncontrollable. In other words, they all practiced evil cultivation techniques. The refined energy transformed into spiritual energy, which would make people healthier, stronger, and more energetic in the short term. However, over time, people would become extremely weak, their lifespan would shorten, and they would age prematurely. The original work did not mention the residents in this mission. The focus was on Luoli's show-off and face-slapping. They were merely insignificant NPC characters in the novel. But this is not a novel, nor is it a personal show of the protagonist. Everyone here is a flesh and blood perfected being with loved ones and dreams. Liu Keano didn't consider himself a righteous gentleman, but this was too malicious. Sacrificing so many innocent people for personal gain. What if he didn't transmigrate into Liu Keano's body, but became an ordinary person here? Liu Keano didn't dare to think about it. The evil Dao fruit was truly detestable. After Luoli defeated the mastermind, Liu Keano would personally send him to the underworld and take the opportunity that belonged to the protagonist from him, which would also give him some relief. The only value these old residents had was their equipment. Regarding the residents practicing evil cultivation techniques, Liu Keano planned to write a letter in Mang Ching's name to expose it to the Immortal Gate. This place was within the protection range of the Immortal Gate, and he believed that the sect would not sit idly by. Azure Rock Town was not big. It took about 10 minutes to walk from the bottom to the top. There was only one large building here, and above it was an orchard. Various patterns were carved on the gate, the roof had flying eaves and upturned corners, and the walls were built with bluestones. It was not a courtyard-level house, but more like the palace in the period dramas Liu Keano had seen on Blue Star. When the two guards standing at the entrance saw Liu Keano and the others approaching, one raised a long stick, and the other asked, "Who are you? What brings you here?" "We are." Luoli hadn't experienced a beating in the cultivation world yet and was prepared to truthfully explain their purpose of searching for the missing fellow disciple. Before she could speak, Su Liangliang took the lead. "We are disciples of the Immortal Gate, here to visit Zhuang Daoguang and inquire about the previous work done by our fellow disciples." "Oh, so you are immortals from the Immortal Gate. Please wait a moment, I will report to my father." The guard holding the long stick put down his weapon and went inside to report the arrival of the visitors. Soon, a young man walked out of the house. He was tall, wearing a blue robe, and a black round hat on his head. He looked strict but smiled when he saw Liu Keano and the others, saying, "Dear immortals, my father has been bedridden due to illness and cannot entertain you. Allow me to receive you instead. Come, don't stand at the door, come in and have a seat." The person was Zhuang Liwan, the son of the mayor of Azure Rock Town, and a well-known young talent in the town. Coming into the hall and sitting down, Zhuang Liwan began to chat. "You've come to inquire about the work done by the previous immortals, right?" Su Lianlian nodded. "The spirit beast in the mansion has been stolen, and it's very likely that a wild spirit beast found a loophole in the animal pen and took the opportunity to sneak in and eat. The previous fellow disciples only captured the wild spirit beast, but were here to find the loophole in the animal pen." Su Lianlian said this in order to search around the mayor's house without arousing suspicion, to see if there were any traces of the missing people. "I see, then it's troublesome for you immortals. The amount of spirit beasts raised each year is fixed, after all, they have to be handed over to the king. If we have fewer this year, we'll be in trouble." Luo Li and Su Lianlian were relieved that the mayor's son was easy to talk to, making the search much easier. Liu Keano, however, stared at Zhuang Liuan's face, trying to figure out what was going on. In his eyes, Zhuang Liuan's fair face was lifeless and pale. The young man was well dressed and handsome, but there was not much spiritual energy left in his body. He appeared strong on the outside but weak on the inside, and his life was not long. There was no flow of spiritual energy in his body, ruling out the possibility of practicing evil cultivation techniques. But what could be the reason for this? Yan Lu, take the immortals to the spirit beast breeding area, and don't be disrespectful. Zhuang Liwan said, I still need to take care of my father. Immortals don't need to be restrained here, just treat it as your own home. Excuse me. Zhuang Liwan got up and walked away, followed by a beautiful woman entering the hall. With a slender waist and a well-rounded buttocks, she was dressed in a pink dress, with graceful curves and a beautiful face, especially her tempting almond-shaped eyes. Her bright red lips emitted a seductive voice, Gentlemen, I'm Yan Lu, Zhuang Liuan's wife. I'll take you to inspect the animal pen. Although her appearance and figure were at the apex level, Liu Chuan felt no interest. At a glance, Liu Chuan recognized that Yan Lu was an evil cultivator who used men's spiritual energy as cultivation material. Her cultivation level was not shallow, at least at the early stage of qi refining. The reason for Zhuang Liuan's loss of spiritual energy was found. She must be related to the mastermind behind the disappearance of the disciples of the Wang Immortal Gate. It's better to be cautious. Yan Lu saw Liu Chuan and Luo Li and her eyes widened. She had previously fed on ordinary people and had long wanted to taste the flavor of cultivators. She could even smell Liu Chuan's captivating scent from such a distance. Yan Lu sensed something was wrong. Looking at Luo Li's appearance, it was obvious that he was a man, but he didn't exude any masculinity. But that didn't matter to her. Yan Lu just wanted to spend a passionate night with Liu Chuan and taste something new. What about Zhuang Liwan? Of course, he couldn't find out. Besides, cheating doesn't mean I don't love my husband. Anyway, Zhuang Liwan will die soon, and in his final moments, being loved by a beauty like me, he can die without regrets. Liu Chuan noticed Yan Lu staring at him with a passionate gaze and felt disgusted. He had no desire to have any contact with such a lascivious and cheap person. Yan Lu smiled and said, This way, please. The spirit beasts are kept in the backyard, I'll take you there. She led the way, turning her head to look at Liu Chuan every few steps, even trying to reach out and grab Liu Chuan's arm, wanting to get closer to him. Yan Lu was going to have an extra meal tonight. The backyard of the mayor's residence is spacious and even larger than the residential area. Spirit beasts in the form of cows, horses, and sheep are kept here, with a separate area where spirit beasts in the form of cats and dogs that eat meat are kept. There are more than 10 residents of the town sitting on the ground in the backyard, helping to groom and deworm the spirit beasts lying on the ground. When they see Yan Lu approaching, they all stand up with a difficult expression on their faces to welcome her. Madam, you're here. In their hearts, they sigh that this cunning woman has come to cause trouble again. Yan Lu enjoys the feeling of being respected by the human venerables. She smiles and says, Let me introduce you. These are the immortals from the Wang Immortal Gate who have come to inspect the animal enclosure for any loopholes. You should cooperate actively. As she speaks, she even throws a flirtatious glance at Liu Chuan. Everyone breathes a sigh of relief. Today, she finally didn't come to make trouble. They all say in unison, We understand, madam. Su Lianlian and Luo Li are led by the residents to the edge of the animal enclosure to inspect it, while also observing if there are any hidden places in the backyard. The animal enclosure where the spirit beasts are kept is also a type of spirit weapon and could be damaged. Luo Li and 2 residents walk to a remote corner and look around before asking, Did the disciples from the Wang Immortal Gate help repair the animal enclosure when they came last time? No, at that time, the mayor was not sick yet. He believed that the disappearance of the spirit beasts was the work of wild beasts in the mountains, so he only asked a few immortals to help hunt the wild beasts. After hunting the wild beasts, what did they do in the town? After thinking for a moment, the 2 shake their heads. After hunting the wild beasts, they stayed in the town for one night and left early the next morning. While inspecting, Luo Li gathers information. All right, there are no loopholes in this side of the animal enclosure. Thank you for your help. The 2 residents are pleasantly surprised and quickly wave their hands. No, it's not hard at all. When you immortals come, we can relax for a while. That's right, usually, besides eating, we can't rest for a moment during the day. This kind of life continues for a month. Luo Li suddenly feels that this could be a clue. Could the daughter of the middle-aged woman in the forest have died from overwork? Oh, can you please tell me more about this? Luo Li asks. Luo Li glances at where Yan Lu is and sees her chatting with Mang Ching. She feels a bit disgusted but focuses on the task at hand and walks away. The residents here are tired every day and have always wanted someone to talk to. Given the opportunity to share their hardships, they talk endlessly. It's like this, our town is not only rich in spirit beasts, but it is also the mayor's responsibility to raise them. However, he says it is the shared responsibility of every villager. Every month, a dozen or so people are selected from the town to come here and work for a month. During this month, their daily tasks are to serve the spirit beasts like ancestors, feed them, groom their fur, and manage their health. Su Lianlian is also gathering intelligence and, with her meticulous thinking, manages to extract additional information from the residents. The residents here do not obey the leadership of the mayor, they have another spiritual leader called something like the Great Immortal. On the other hand, Liu Chuan is followed by Yan Lu wherever he goes, and he can only focus on inspecting the safety of the animal enclosure. What is your name, Immortal? When Liu Chuan lowers his head to check the animal enclosure, Yan Lu approaches from behind and whispers in his ear with a seductive voice. Seeing this scene, the residents consciously move away, pretending not to know what's going on. You're in my way, move aside. Liu Chuan pushes Yan Lu away. He walks away quickly, saying, there are no problems with this side of the animal enclosure. If there are no problems, then why don't you talk to me more? What's your name, Immortal? Yan Lu is extremely confident in her appearance and figure. As the saying goes, a woman pursuing a man is like a layer of gauze. As long as she takes the initiative, she doesn't believe she can't win over an ordinary cultivator. Liu Chuan has had enough. Why does this woman keep pestering him? He calmly says, Mang Ching. Yan Lu's lips curl up, thinking that this is the first step for the cultivator in front of her to be infatuated with her. Mang Ching Immortal, what a good name. While in the backyard, Luo Li and Su Lianlian continue to gather information about the missing disciples. Only Liu Chuan is tormented, occasionally being touched and having Yan Lu press her body against him. As a guest, he can't get angry at the mayor's daughter-in-law, so he can only endure silently. But Liu Chuan feels like he has been defiled. After inspecting the backyard, the sun is already setting, and Liu Chuan and the others return to the main hall. Zhuang Liwan is still taking care of the mayor, and at this moment, Yan Lu's mood is no longer beautiful. Her aggressive advances have had no effect on Mang Ching. She is about to use her last resort. No man can resist the temptation of a married woman. Immortals, it's getting late. Why don't you stay for dinner? In the kitchen, she plans to use the excuse of cooking together to seduce Mang Ching near Zhuang Liwan. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.